Happy New Year, everybody. This episode of the podcast is going to be airing on New Year's Eve. I hope everybody's having a good time. T-Po's enjoying the fan.
Oh, look at her.
So this is, we're a couple of weeks behind, but
Fine.
This is our Wildrose Arcade Game Awards. So 2019 has been a bit of a weird year for me in that regard. I've not played a whole heck of a lot.
No, neither have I.
No.
Like, I counted, I've played 4 2019 games.
I didn't even remember what came out in 2019. Like, when the Game Awards were approaching.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, the whole, like, nominees were being announced or whatever. Like, I had to, like, Google what came out in 2019 to be like, what did I play?
Yeah. Well, like, they're... Just the way that they schedule it, there's... like, sort of a weird crossover with any awards show.
Yeah.
Like, they had Super Smash Bros. Up for Game of the Year.
Well, yeah, because it came out after the last Game of the Year awards, which threw me off, too, because I'm like, does that really count? But then I'm like, I guess it does, because it didn't get the chance to be a nomination the year before, so.
Yeah, it's just, like, my personal, like, anal pet peeve about these year-end lists. Where it's like, oh, it's December 1st, time for our year-end list. What?
Yeah, I know,
Yeah, they should do it in January.
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah.
Well, we're ahead of the curve. We're doing it on New Year's Eve. I hope everybody had a good Christmas. I hope everybody enjoyed our Christmas special episode.
With a heartwarming tale about a wonderful bearded man that everybody loves.
It's usually how all Christmas stories start.
So, normally I want to start off these podcasts talking about games that we've been playing, but since potentially this is going to be long enough on its own anyway, we're going to jump past that and go straight into honorable mentions. So since all three of us played so few games that came out this year, I decided a good idea might be to do an honorable mentions category of games that I feel were noteworthy this year that we just simply didn't play. A big one was Resident Evil 2's remake. That's a game I really wanted to play, but never got my hands on it in time. A lot of people debate whether or not a remake should count for Game of the Year, but I think when that much of the game is changed...
Yeah.
Like, it's literally a new game. It's just using the old characters and story.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, it's barely even a remake.
Like, I can guarantee that Final Fantasy VII's remake is going to be...
Oh, God, yeah.
nominated.
Yeah.
Was Resident Evil one of the nominees for?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I remember. But yeah, I mean, like, if it changed that much and everyone really liked it, so yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't really consider it, like, a game that came out this year because it was a remake, so, but, I mean, yeah.
Another one of their nominations I thought was weird was Control.
I know, I've heard really good things about Control.
About it until then.
See, I'd heard very mixed things, but I heard it didn't sell very well.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it was on Game of the Year list, and that kind of surprised me.
I mean, it's probably because the people who did play it, like, had good things to say about it. Like, you know, a game can be nominated for many different things, whether it just be overall a good game, but it could just have, like, good story, it could have good direction, it could have good actors in it, right? So there's a big variety of things that can make a game a nomination, right? So, like, a lot of people were probably like, it was an okay game, but the story was great. So then they're like, let's nominate it, sort of thing, right? You know?
So, going back to Resident Evil 2, it's a game I wanted to play. I really like survival horror, and I watched a lot of Let's Plays of it because money was just tight and I couldn't afford it, so I gave into the temptation to just watch the game, sort of.
Yeah.
And I definitely think it's a game that had I played it, I probably would have really liked it, but I never played it. Let's see, what else is there? Kingdom Hearts 3 also came out earlier on in the year.
Oh, right.
That game I did play.
Yeah, me too.
Not my thing. It's fine. I don't know. I don't really know what else to say about it.
Well, I mean, when I played it, I really liked it. Like, I was, like, I'm not a veteran Kingdom Hearts player by any means. I actually don't think I actually played any Kingdom Hearts game before this one. So as a first time player, it was good. Like it was fine to play. It was lots of fun. I liked the characters, the story, blah blah blah. Story is a little confusing for, well, obviously anybody who knows Kingdom Hearts know that the story is completely batshit crazy.
I mean, isn't this a series where one of the entries is labeled Xerd? like third, but with an X instead of a 3.
Yeah. But like one of the big complaints that I had with the game was that the combat felt very repetitive, and that kind of kept me from wanting to go back and play it.
Yeah.
Because when we were talking about Game of the Year, and it was coming up the awards, and we thought about Kingdom Hearts, and I was like, you know what, maybe I should play it again to kind of refresh my memory about it, because maybe that's going to be my game of the year or whatever, because I had played so little 2019 games.
Yeah.
But I actually couldn't bring myself to play it because, like, I thought about, like, what it was like when I was playing it before, and it wasn't like I was displeased with what I was thinking about. It's just like, but after playing a few levels, it's just like, it's kind of the same thing. Like, unless you change your weapon, because once you change your key, it changed the way that Sora fights, kind of, sort of. But
unfortunately, the game gives you like the best one.
Yeah.
Like in the first mission.
Oh,
so it's like, why change it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that depends on play style as well. But for me, I was like, why change it?
And I think like some of the battle areas are very restricted for the types of moves it gives you, I guess. Like one of them I can think about is you had like this chariot with horses that you get from being in like the Hercules area or whatever.
Yeah.
And you use it to, like, it's kind of like a special ability that you use to fight enemies or whatever, but you can use it fairly often. But I mean, the areas that you had been fighting in really restricts you how you can actually move the chariot, and then it like switches its camera angles right in the middle of it, and it's just like, what's happening? Like this is cool, but like, what's going on? And but like I said, I remember very little about it, but that was one of my big complaints, is that the gameplay just felt repetitive. But like I was really intrigued with the story, and that's kind of why I wanted to continue. Like I wanted to know a little bit more about like the Kingdom Hearts story and lore and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe starting with the last one might not be a good idea, but
Probably not.
I mean, it was still a fun entry, so I mean, no complaints there.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was a bad game, but it is, Kingdom Hearts fans were happy with it. And I think that's worth saying, that it was an hour thing, but to the people that wanted it, it paid off.
Yeah.
The wait paid off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, that point you made about the combat reminded me of another game that I completely forgotten about, which was Oninaki. It's like an action RPG where you're basically playing as like a psychopomp, you know, guiding souls to the afterlife.
Okay.
Which I felt like I should have been like super into.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
But like I played a bit of the demo, and it just felt so basic.
Yeah.
You know, like the combat wasn't really doing anything interesting. The environments I didn't find all that interesting.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know, I just found it kind of
Just
disappointing.
lackluster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I remember the Nintendo Direct when that was shown off.
Yeah.
And it looked really cool.
Yeah, I was really excited for it.
Oh well.
So one game that's going to be a little controversial for me here, I think I'm the only one in this room that played it, Sekiro.
Sekiro.
I'm a huge Bloodborne fan. I loved Bloodborne. Holly does not like Bloodborne. I loved Bloodborne.
I have nothing against Bloodborne. Bloodborne just doesn't like me.
I wouldn't say disliked. I did not enjoy Sekiro. Bloodborne, for me, something about it just jived with me. It's difficult but fair in my mind.
Yeah.
Sekiro was difficult but not fair, in my opinion. A lot of people think it's the best game that From Software has ever put out. I don't necessarily disagree, but it's not a game for me. Its world and its movement, jumping around from building to building and using your grapple hook by basically being feudal Japan Spider-Man, assassinating enemies, taking them out in one hit, doing that. It feels so different from all the other Soulsborne games they typically get abbreviated as.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I did not like it anywhere near as much as Bloodborne. And it surprised me. I know people liked it, but it actually shocked me when I saw it nominated for Game of the Year, and then it won Game of the Year. Sekiro was Game of the Year 2019.
Yeah.
And I think it deserves it. It just surprised me.
It was a big surprise for all of us. Like I remember sitting there watching it, and I just I blinked, and I was like, the fuck? Like, really? Oh, okay, yeah, well, good for them. Like, good for them for making a kick-ass game, but, like, I hadn't played it, but I watched Tom play it, and I've seen a little bit of footage of it being played, and like he mentioned, I don't like Bloodborne, and it's just because those style of games I don't like I don't know, I like close combat melee kind of games, but Bloodborne, I don't know what it is, like, it's just, it was, like, he says that it's hard but fair.
Yeah.
I disagree with that, because it's difficult in the most frustrating ways and fair in the kind of not so rewarding ways, I guess to say. Like, one of my biggest issues with it is that, again, it was the repetitive gameplay, right? Because, like, I couldn't leave the one specific... Like, I actually only cleared the first area and got into the second area before I was like, okay, I'm fucking done with this game. Because it was so much effort just to play the goddamn game. That it was like, I'm no longer enjoying this. Like, it felt like a chore. Like, it really did. But I wanted to play it because all of my friends was raving about how good Bloodborne was. So I was like, well, I want to experience what they're experiencing, right? And I want to kind of, you know, like, I want to play this game. And granted, like, the story's really cool. Like, the atmosphere is cool. Like, the monsters are cool. Like, everything about it, looking at it, is cool. But when I play it, I feel so... I don't know what the word is, but I don't feel like I'm having fun. I feel like I'm doing it out of obligation for other people because I was, you know, they're saying, oh, you have to play this game sort of thing. And, like, you know, and that's probably why I didn't pick up Sekiro, because I knew it was going to be that kind of style game. It's very, like, aggressive, like, melee type game, I guess.
Right.
And, like... I don't really know where I'm going with that thought, because I'm just... My brain...
How you feel about Bloodborne is kind of how I feel about Sekiro. Or Sekiro. I'm not sure how it's supposed to be pronounced.
Sekiro.
I've heard it both ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt difficult in an unfair way. Like, it throws like mid-bosses at you, like, every 5 fucking minutes. So you don't really get to feel... accomplished. You kill all these enemies, you stealth through an area, you assassinate enemies, and it feels like, oh, sweet. And then it throws a mid-boss at you that's really tough. You die at it a couple times, but when you finally get through it, you move through an area, and now there's another boss.
Yeah. See, actually, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I just had a thought about the whole Bloodborne thing, is that why I didn't have fun with it is because, like, all the enemies... Like, you used to describe it to me, is that all the enemies are designed to kill you.
Yeah.
All games are designed to do that, but, like, he meant that even the low enemies that are roaming around are strong enough that they could be, like the boss guy or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I think that hindered my exploration of the game, because there were so many enemies everywhere, right? Like, so many enemies being everywhere is fine. But when they're so difficult that, like there was times where I didn't want to go into this building or this area, because I'm like, someone's going to kill me in there. And I'm not going to be happy about it, because it's going to spit me out right to the beginning, and I'm going to have to see the same damn scenes all over again, right? And then so it's like the game wasn't letting me experience it, right? And that's why I had such a big issue with, like, why do people enjoy this? Like, this is torture. Like, you're torturing yourself.
From Software's games like Sekiro and Bloodborne, they're not meant to be like story-driven power fantasies, and I think depending on how what you want out of a game in that regard will affect whether or not you enjoy them.
Yeah.
But back a little bit more on topic, I just dislike... No, that's fine. It's a podcast. That's what happens.
Whenever people mention Bloodborne, I just get all... I got so raged about it.
Bloodborne is your Mass Effect Andromeda.
I know. I just don't get it. All right. Moving on.
So, Sekiro, a little bit of a controversial thing, but I really disliked it. Rob, do you have any opinions one way or the other? I know you didn't play the game.
No, like, regarding it, like, winning Game of the Year?
I guess, sure.
Yeah, I honestly, I was kind of thinking it might have been Death Stranding that had won.
I was certain it was going to be Death Stranding.
But, like, I don't know, like, I was, to a certain extent, I was surprised that Death Stranding won, but I wasn't surprised that Sekiro did. Like, it's just... I mean, it's like a very well-constructed like action game from a company that people like. It just sort of felt like a safe choice.
Yeah, fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
The movement, I will say, was really fun. There was a game announced at the Game Awards that reminded me of Sekiro's movement.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember what it was. It was like a multiplayer game in like feudal Japan where there's 2 players in like this map, and the map's got like NPCs and shit everywhere, and one person's like, I can't remember, one person's like a samurai and the other person's like a ninja.
It was one with the male and the female.
Yeah.
It was like, it was made from a Chinese development company.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't remember what it was called.
It reminded me of Sekiro when I saw it, but I assume it's not that difficult if it's a PvP game.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. Cadence of Hyrule.
Yeah, after, like, I mentioned, like, oh, yeah, I might try and play that before the end of the year. I never did pick it up because it is kind of expensive and I'm crazy cheap. I did play a bit of the demo. I might get back into it, but it's a real adjustment. It's like I love roguelikes, but I'm used to like turn-based ones where, if you've got like a strong enemy coming for you, you can just sort of, you can wait and figure out like, okay, well, you
have time to strategize.
Yeah, you can say, okay, well, I've got these potions, I've got these scrolls, this is the weapon I've got, like, what can I do to improve my situation here? That one you have to keep moving in real time on beat.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to adjust your way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really click with it when I first played the demo, but I mean that could change. So I don't know. I'll have to get back to that one.
I know our friend Connor has Cadence of Hyrule and he really likes it. But his recommendation is why I didn't pick it up. He said it's great, but it's not worth the money that it's costing because of how short it is. And normally I think a short game is a selling feature versus having too long of a game, because sometimes I want to just play a game, enjoy it, beat it, move on.
Yeah.
And sometimes having big, huge 50-hour games isn't what I want. But it sounded like from his description that you could beat it in like an hour or 2.
Oh.
And it just... like, it's probably longer than that. That was just my perception of his words.
Yeah.
And so to me, I think, what is it? It's like $35 or something like that, Canadian?
It's like right around that, yeah.
Yeah, to me, that's just way too much for that kind of game. I think part of its cost, honestly, is...
it's a Nintendo license.
Yeah, I think it's probably the Nintendo license for it to be Zelda.
Yeah.
But it's a game I'm interested in looking into when it's on, like, sale for, like, $15. I think that's a good price for it.
Yeah. Well, I know they've had just like vanilla Crypt of the Necrodancer on sale a fair bit. I might pick that one up.
And there's the Link's Awakening remake.
Oh, I wanted to play that. That flew right under my radar, though.
Yeah, it kind of just came out.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, I was just there. But yeah, I really wanted to play that one because I've never played the original Link's Awakening.
Yeah, and I don't know, that's always kind of a hurdle for me when it comes to like remakes like that, where it's like, this is more for the fans. I probably wouldn't enjoy it that much. Even though I'm sure I would.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, as long as they like, even if they change stuff, it's a great way to get back into it, right?
Yeah.
Because not only do you have like new graphics and stuff, which is a bonus.
Yeah.
But then you can play it on like the consoles that are available to you instead of being like, oh, I gotta go dig up a Game Boy somewhere to go play it or whatever the fuck it was on. I don't even know.
Game Boy, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But after I saw that when they announced that they were doing the remake for Link's Awakening, the only thing that I thought of is like, I want this for Oracles of Ages and Seasons.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I want. I want to play those games so bad, and I would love them to look like that. So, I mean, that's what I want out of the future for that. But, I mean, I still want to pick up Link's Awakening because I still want to play it.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, it hadn't experienced it the first time, so, and I feel like I have to because I'm a big Zerder fan. And I think I'm a very poor Zelda fan who hasn't played Link's Awakening. So
I heard a lot of people complaining about movement in that game.
Oh, really?
Apparently it moves like you're using a D-pad, but it doesn't let you use the D-pad. It only lets you use the joystick. And a lot of people were like, why? Because there's some weird third-party controllers that a lot of people were reviewing as saying, like, this is the best controller for Link's Awakening remake. because it has a D-pad that the Switch thinks is a joystick, so it lets you use a D-pad to play that game.
That's weird.
And it's weird to me that Nintendo doesn't just let you use... I mean, when
Yeah.
you really think about it, the Joy-Con by natively does not have a D-pad. Mine does, and now Holly's does. I swapped it out for a D-pad.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe Nintendo didn't want you to have to use those buttons to move, but you could make both of them for movement, and then people who like the buttons can use the buttons.
You can always
Yeah.
make it a setting change. Like,
Yeah.
that doesn't seem like that would be difficult to do.
Like, I think it's something I could work around personally, but
Yeah.
it's also something that I'm like, why?
Why does the
don't
problem even exist?
Yeah.
when you have the ability
That's the
to give your
Nintendo way.
when you have the ability to give your consumers options and it doesn't cost you anything more, then why aren't you? I don't get it. I guess actually I'd like to ask about a game Rob's played that I have not. Creature in the Well.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've really been enjoying it. I need to get back to it. Like it's one of those games where occasionally I'll just sort of hit a wall, and it's like, okay, well I'm not capable of doing this right now, so I'm just gonna put it down for a while, which I think is the right thing to do, and then I'll just not get back to it for ages. But yeah, it's super creative. I love the visual style. I think it's a great idea for how to use the mechanic. Like I've never seen a pinball dungeon crawler hack and slash before. And I love that they were willing to try it, and it is this sounds like I'm like, oh, the idea is great, but no, it is executed really well. The game works great. It's a lot of fun to play. It's just occasionally I'll just get to a section that's too difficult right now. So I mean, yeah, I definitely think you could get into it.
We'll play that on the channel sometime.
Yeah.
So there's two more games for sure I wanted to mention, unless anybody else has anything else they can think of. One game I'm really sad. I guess two games I'm really sad I didn't play this year are Astral Chain
Yeah.
and Death Stranding. I am a really big Kojima fan. I've never played a Kojima game I didn't like, even just as a story standpoint, because I love his sort of depiction of science fiction meets supernatural in a way.
Yeah.
It's in, especially in Metal Gear, it's never just a ghost. It's like a nanomachine ghost. I love his way of being different.
Yeah.
Death Stranding is such a mixed bag and such a controversial game because its core gameplay is you're a delivery man. I don't have any issues with that premise personally, because if you can walk away from the game, whether it's the gameplay or if it's the story, if you can walk away from a game going, I had fun. That's what a game's supposed to do. I personally believe I would like Death Stranding, but I did not play it. And I don't know when I will get the chance to play it, but I did not play it prior to the end of this year, so I can't have it as my game of the year. Another game like that is, as I said, Astral Chain. Platinum Games is one of my favorite developers of all time, so you'd think I'd prioritize picking up their cool-looking new IP. For some reason, I didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I was in the same boat. Again, I'm just cheap.
Yeah.
It was for me. Astral Chain was again another one that just kind of flew under the radar for me. I remember it being announced. And I remember being like, "Oh my god, I gotta get that game!" And of course, it was a game that Hideki was part of, and so I was like, "I gotta play this! This looks really cool." And I'm usually not into that kind of stuff, but the gameplay looked really interesting, so I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna play that."
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, people were like, I think I asked you. I was just like, is that even out? And you're like, yeah, it's been out for a really long time. And I was like, oh, well, maybe I should pick it up and play it. And then I got busy with life, and then I never did. And then all of a sudden, the game of the year was coming, and I was like, I didn't even get to play Astral Chain. That's sad.
Yeah, there's so much about that game that I know I'd be super into. It's like a fast-paced hack and slash again.
Yeah.
There's a ton of diversity in the gameplay.
It looks fucking
you have
cool.
to. It's a police game where you have to do actual police work, which I've been wanting for years.
and you like create your own custom anime dude.
You can have a robot dog.
I know,
Yeah.
right? Like
And you
that
can
was
ride
what
them.
sold me. I was like, I gotta play this.
Yeah, like I just
It's like I can ride like a mech dog. Hell yeah!
like that $80 price tag is just such a stumbling block for me, and I just kept waiting. Like, well, I mean, the Black Friday's coming up.
Yeah.
Canadian Black Friday's coming up.
To be totally honest,
There's going to be a sale at some point, right?
Yeah. To be totally honest, like by the time I heard about it, that it was out, it was so close to the holidays, and I was like, well, I guess I should just not get it because, like, it's Christmas or whatever.
Yeah.
And apparently people think I'm difficult to buy for. But like I figured, like
She is.
It's a real curse. I have the same problem.
once you're an adult and you have your own spending money, you just buy the shit that you want.
Yeah.
That's what it is. But like, I mean, like after like to a certain point, like usually I don't even remember when I thought Astral Chain come out. I don't remember. I think it was close to the Game of the Year awards because we were talking about it. But like I said, it was like late November, so I was like, well, I guess I shouldn't buy it right now because like, what if like I would get it for him or somebody else would get it for him or somebody would get it for me or whatever. So I was like, just don't buy shit at that time because it's Christmas, right? You don't want to piss people off because I have family members that do that. They buy shit like days before Christmas. It's like, what the fuck is your problem?
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, we're doing the last of our Christmas shopping tomorrow. And as of this recording, this is December 22nd.
Well, that's because I'm a weekend slave. Okay?
I know.
I don't get time off.
You're a weekend slave and I'm broke.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, yeah, Astral Chain, everything I've seen about it, I really think it would have been my game of the year had I played it. But I didn't get the chance to play it.
Yeah, I think I would have been in the same boat too.
It would have been a strong contender.
Yeah.
Another game I just thought of that, like Holly keeps saying, flew under the radar was Daemon Ex Machina.
Yeah, that was another one of the ones where, like, again...
Yeah, you were super fucking excited for that one too. I was so surprised that you were just like
it's $80, for God's
I
sake.
know.
Everything's $80.
I know, that's why I didn't buy a single AAA game No, that's not true. I bought Smash. I bought Smash in, like, June.
Jeez, really?
Because, again, I was waiting for a sale. It's like, it's gotta go on sale at some point, right? No.
It's a Nintendo title. No.
Yeah.
Nintendo's the worst for sales.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because they
Unless
can
it's
get
just
away
a
with
crappy
it.
Game. Yeah.
As a bit of a side note, there was a joke going around online the other day that because of the success Kojima's had after striking out on his own, that apparently, this is just a rumor and a bit of a meme, but apparently like Konami contacted him to finally continue Silent Hill. And apparently he said yes, so now in a weird way he's working with Konami again.
Huh.
That would never happen. I'd be shocked if it did. I would be very shocked after the way their relationship ended.
Yeah, I'd be like, go fuck yourself.
I mean, Guillermo del Toro was working on it too, so there's at best a 1 in 10 chance it's going to happen.
But anyway, the reason that I thought of that was someone made a joke that in I guess sort of in reference to that was Kojima's working with Konami again. In other news, Capcom's decided to buy Platinum Games and rename them Clover Studios again. After all of those developers left and formed a whole new studio. So, any other games that we played or didn't play that we want to mention here? I can't think of any.
I mean, I think we should be talking about Sword and Shield that came out like a couple months ago, I guess.
That's one of your nominees, isn't it?
I guess, yeah.
We're not there yet.
Well, I didn't know. I don't have a schedule. I'm just sitting here talking into a microphone.
And you're out of order. And you're out of order.
I object. Well, fine then. I'll hold my tongue until later. Because I don't know of anything else that I played that came out this year that I was like, yeah, I don't know. I got nothing. I'm empty. I'm tap dry.
Okay. So we got through that a little bit faster than I thought we would. So yeah, I guess we will take a brief little break and say and talk about what games we have been playing. Try to make it not about the games you're nominating for Game of the Year, if possible. Holly, what have you been playing?
Well, did they have to come out in 2019?
No, just what games have you been playing?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, a year is such a long time. I don't remember.
No, not in the whole year, just lately.
Oh, well,
Yesterday, day before. What have you been playing?
Zelda.
Breath of the Wild? Yeah, you have been playing.
All Zelda for me.
You're still trying to go for all the Koroks.
I have.
That's insane.
In total, 512 Koroks.
I've never done anything 500 times. That's not true. I did get an achievement for playing 500 games in NHL 2K10.
Oh, damn. Yeah, no. Well, at this point, because I loved Breath of the Wild so much, I've literally tapped the faucet dry, other than finishing my final stage in the Master Trials, that I was like, what's left? What could there possibly left for me to do in this land of Hyrule? So I was like, I haven't collected all the Koroks yet. Here we go. So just because like I want excuses to keep playing it,
yeah.
right? Like I obviously know there's no more DLC coming because they're fashioning a sequel for us, which I'm super excited about, and I was hoping to hear something about it in the awards.
Yeah,
because I was hoping to see maybe some more trailers or some announcements, release dates. Something, god damn it. It's the only reason I sat through the whole thing. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, like I keep wanting to play that game, and so I figured like what better way to keep exploring in places and in ways that I hadn't explored before than collecting the Koroks, because they are in some pretty odd places sometimes in plain sight, but sometimes I find myself going places that I didn't even know was there, and I was like, oh, this is kind of neat, this is a new thing for me, right? So I'm kind of almost re-experiencing the game. Like, I'm visiting some places that I've been before, but places that I hadn't gone to unless I was getting a shrine or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I visited it briefly and I left, right? But because there's so many Koroks and so many of them can be very condensed in such a small area. And I mean, you have to be creative in how you explore to be able to find them, right? So you can be circling around in a very small area for a very long time, just fucking looking for Koroks. So like I've found myself in places that like I probably wouldn't have explored as thoroughly, and sometimes you find cool little things and sometimes you don't. Or you just find fucking Koroks everywhere. But yeah, basically I just been using the Korok mask, and it just makes it a little bit easier, but it's still hard to look for them. So, but yeah, 512, at least over halfway there.
Jesus.
All for a golden shit. But it's not the prize that matters. It's the journey.
It's the journey, not the destination.
Exactly. But I mean, like, there's nothing left for me. Like, I've done everything. Like, I thought about going back to the Master Trials because I've done that stage a few times.
Yeah.
And it's just really hard. It's difficult, so I haven't been able to get through it. I remember I got really close, though. But, like, I was actually, when I was doing the Master Trials, I was, like, pounding them out, like, really quickly. Like, I did the first two in one sitting. I just had to do it a couple times because I kept dying, obviously, because they're difficult. But then by the time I got to the third one, I was like, I need a break. And then that was like months and months ago. So
yeah,
but yeah, so those are like the two things that I have left for Zelda, really. But and other than playing lately, I mean, I played Sonic Boom with you losers, but other than that, nothing.
Yeah, the last episode of that would have aired like 2 or 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, but other than that, I don't think I've really played. Haven't really squeezed in a lot of time for game playing, which is sad.
2019 has
Makes
been a
me
weird
cry.
year for that, for me.
Yeah. Well, we just been busy, right? Like, we just had so much.
We got married this
We
year.
did get married this year, so we just had so much going on. Like, I missed out on Odafest this year because of that. I go to all the cosplay conventions, and I missed out on it. So, like, we've been doing so many different things that I'm not surprised that, so many things that just flew right past us and we didn't even give it a second glance.
You know what? I just thought of another game that came out this year I was really excited for, and then it just sort of came out and I forgot about it.
Oh?
Judgment.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's,
I've never heard of that.
I talked to you about it when we were in Japan. That's what made me think about it just now.
Oh.
It's a game from the same developer, and I think the same universe as the Yakuza series. But
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, you're like a detective.
Yeah.
And it just looked so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
remember
totally
that
forgot about that
conversation.
game.
I remember the conversation. I don't even remember where we were.
We were on the train, and then I noticed people were looking at me funny because I
You
kept
said
saying
Yakuza.
Yakuza. And I realized,
Yeah, probably
oh,
not the best place to be just saying that. Yeah, I remember actually saying that to you. I was like, maybe you should keep your voice down when you're saying that, because this isn't really the place to be talking about this.
Yeah, because we don't want to be on the C train going, Mafia?
Well, like,
I love the Mafia.
I know, but like, I don't know. We don't really have such a present mafia, I guess, that it would raise any alarms.
Yeah.
Not in Canada. No.
Not in Canada, as much as it might, because like I don't know. I don't really know how active the
I think the closest
is, but
I think the closest to organized crime we got is the Hells Angels.
Do we have the Hells
a thing?
Angels here?
Yeah.
that's a
Oh.
thing.
They're not I don't think they're in Calgary, but they're in
Okay.
Canada.
Oh my god.
But yeah, it's like, it's like the time my grandfather was at an airport, and I guess his friend saw him, like, across the terminal. So, without a second thought, he just called out to him. And so, in this crowded airport, he stuck up his hand and went, "Hi, Jack!"
Oh god, that's terrible.
Oh man.
That's awful. Hi, Jack. Oh, that's funny.
So Rob, what games have you been playing lately?
Well, ever since we got talking about Soul Calibur, I've been getting back into Soul Calibur 5 and, like,
yeah.
actually, like, learning how to play Nightmare. Like, learning the moves that aren't just hit X, hit Y.
Mash.
Now I can hit the control stick and Y and do a move. But yeah, I'd forgotten, like, just how good that game feels.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's really satisfying.
I've actually never played a Soul Calibur game.
We'll play it. We'll start with 2 because you're probably going to want to play as Link.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Always Link.
Mhm.
Always Link.
They all play very
Once
similarly.
a Link, forever a Link.
So yeah, there's that. I also just recently got Virtua Racing and Windjammers in, like, separate sales on the eShop. So I've been getting really into those.
I want to play Virtua Racing.
I think you'd really like it. Because it's like, it's a really old school style racing. Like, it's one of the ones where you have a countdown and you have to hit checkpoints to get a time bonus. And, like, I'd forgotten how much I like just that feel. And I was kind of hesitant to pick up too many racers on the Switch just because, I've gotten to the point where I usually like to play with analog triggers, which the Switch doesn't have. But, I don't know, it just works so well just using the A button on the accelerator. Like, it's just like so well optimized.
What's the game that came? I think it came out this year that uses. You can use the GameCube controllers with it.
Yeah, that was Grid Autosport. I
Yeah.
should have mentioned that in my honorable mentions.
Oh, we still can.
Yeah, it's an honorable mention. I'm just waiting for a physical release. Maybe we'll see.
Oh, it's not out physically.
No, it's
Oh.
only
It's digital?
digital. Yeah. Otherwise, I would have gotten it because it's like $40.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, there's that, and Windjammers. I just bought like yesterday, and I've been really getting into that.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like
I've never heard of any of these games.
oh, they're well, both of them are like sort of. I mean, they're like arcade sort of cult classics.
Oh, okay.
Like Windjammers, it's basically like tennis but with a frisbee. I can tell you'd sound really into it.
That made no sense. It's like tennis, but with a frisbee.
Okay,
I just
like-
imagine someone holding a frisbee, like trying to.
No, it's like you're throwing it back and forth.
Oh,
Yeah.
is the frisbee the ball?
Yeah.
Or is the frisbee the racket?
That would be really hard.
It's called Windjammers, not flailing around like a dipshit. On the Neo Geo. But no,
Hey,
like
I'd play it.
like it just again, it just feels really good. Like the controls are really tight. There's like cool specials every character can do. Like I'm actually struggling to remember the last time I had this much fun with a new sports game right off the bat.
Oh yeah.
Like usually it's like, okay, I have to figure out how everything works, or I have to adjust the sliders.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I've just gotten like right into it like immediately.
That one was originally on the Neo Geo, right? You said.
Yeah, well, it was originally an arcade game, and then I'm pretty sure it got ported to the Neo Geo.
I'm pretty sure every Neo Geo game was almost...
Yeah, I mean, that was SNK's whole deal.
Yeah. I guess for me, well, just the last 2 days I've been playing Tales Symphonia and, Soul Calibur 2. I don't know if it aired before New Year's. The first part we definitely would have. I played Tales Symphonia on my own on the channel, doing like my own house-made permadeath feature, and it didn't go so well, and my commentary was not the greatest. So if you actually watched that, I'm sorry. But it made me want to play Symphonia again, and it was actually just last night. I started a new file just for the sake of playing the game again, and I ended up playing really late into the night, and I'm really enjoying it again, so I'm probably going to continue. But yeah, I've been playing Soul Calibur 2. Let's see, what was I playing before that? Not really anything super recent beyond my Game of the Year pick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Tales Symphonia and Soul Calibur, good games. Play them. Don't play the Tales Symphonia Chronicles version of Symphonia though.
Why?
Sucks.
Why?
They ruined the frame rate. They took out lines of dialogue. They added in new content, but it's glitchy. The GameCube version's still the best way to go. Okay.
All right.
Well, I think it's time.
Is it time?
Drum
already?
roll.
Get the championship belt.
Pretty much. Yep.
What did I do with that picture?
The silence is great.
Shush you.
How dare you shush me? Have at you.
Oh no, they're dueling.
We shall duel
Ching, ching,
in a spar of fisticuffs. Have at you. Well, yeah, I almost forgot about that.
There. That's what that picture's going to look like in our actual background.
All right.
So, Rob, give us your 2 nominations for Game of the Year.
All right, so how much detail am I going into?
Just
right
list
off
the
bat?
games right now.
Okay, so yeah, my sort of top 2 are Slay the Spire and Baba Is You.
Is that the blob?
The Blob is Baba.
Baba is cute. Baba is very blobbish.
I love the way
he looks like something I would make in like office paint when I was like 9, trying to make a cat. Because I liked drawing cats when I was little.
you like drawing cats now.
No, I draw wolves now. I've upgraded.
My 2 picks are Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order and The Outer Worlds. Holly, what are your picks?
Well, given I didn't play a lot of games in 2019, these are just the ones that I actually played that came out in 2019. So my Game of the Year picks was Fire Emblem 3 Houses and Pokemon Sword and Shield. I played Shield version.
I would just say Pokemon Shield because you didn't play Sword.
Well, they're the same.
They are. They're Pokemon, but
They're the same.
whatever. Whatever.
God.
Now, I would actually like to start this with Holly.
No.
Because I'm interested in your full opinions on Pokemon's Shield.
Okay.
And you are someone that normally hates strategy games.
I do.
But one of your Game of the Year picks is Fire Emblem 3 Houses.
Yeah.
So what I want to do here, everybody, is we're going to share our thoughts on both games, what we like about them, what we don't, talk about both games individually, and then after we've talked about both games, name which one is your Game of the Year.
Okay.
Basically, leave it as a cliffhanger until your whole paragraphs of dialogue are done. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, Holly. So, Pokemon Sword and Shield and Fire Emblem 3 Houses.
All right. Well, I'll start with Fire Emblem 3 Houses because I played it first. And yes, I usually don't like turn-based strategy, RPG sort of thing. I'm the kind of person that likes to charge into the fray and mash all my buttons until I hit something. That's the way I like to play. So when I have to, strategize and like turn-based RPGs, like they're just not my style. Like they just don't get the blood pumping or, the way that I do sometimes when I play fighting games or action games, right?
Yeah.
So they've just never really been on my top picks. And usually if I see a game that's a turn-based RPG, I'll usually just shove it aside and I won't even play it just because it's just not my style. And that goes for Fire Emblem. I've never picked up a single Fire Emblem game before Three Houses. And I don't really know why I picked up Three Houses. I think it was because Tom bought it and he started playing it and it looked kind of interesting. So I was like intrigued. So I was like, you know what? First time for everything, let's just give it a shot. Worst comes to worst, I just don't like it, right?
Yeah.
And so I played it. And I am the Golden Deer House, if anyone is interested.
Everybody's interested. As soon as we said it, everybody wanted to know which house.
What house? Yeah, no, I picked the Golden Deer. I don't really know. I know why I picked the Golden Deer. I picked the Golden Deer because I like.
That guy is hot.
He's not. Well, no, not. Well, yes, but that's not the reason.
He wasn't asking your opinion.
Just because you want to hump him doesn't mean I do. I'm just kidding. But no, it was because like his character personality stood out to me the most out of all three of them. Just I like those kind of characters. Just his personality was just what stood out. So I was like, you know what, I want to be in alliance with this guy because he's cool. Whatever. I'm drawing a blank. But yeah, no, I think that was the reason why I enjoyed it so much is because the story was interesting. The gameplay was interesting. Like as far as I don't know anything about previous Fire Emblem games, but with Three Houses, like the fact that you were like an instructor and you had like a classroom of students and you actually had to teach them, like that was part of your gameplay. Like you sat in class and you focused on each individual student and focused on what strengths that they would be benefit on improving on, what changes that they want to make in their fighting style. Like some students would come up to you and be like, hey, I want to focus more on doing this. Sometimes they would decide, I want to change my style completely and I want to try to do this instead, right?
Yeah.
And you would have to guide your students based on their ambitions, but also based on their talents. So that was really interesting to kind of like, it sounds weird to put it this way, but play around with your students. But like, no, because, you knew some people were destined to be this. So you're like, well, we're going to focus on that. But then there's some students that are a little bit wishy-washy about what they wanted to be, right?
Yeah.
So at this point, it's like an empty canvas, right? I could make you whatever the fuck I want you to be. And if they fail, then you do something else, right?
I want to get fucking jacked. No, you're a healer!
Actually, I had that happen with one of my students. She just wanted to do so many different things. I'm like, you're a healer. You're nothing but a healer. You're never going to amount to anything else. Just stay out. But, yeah, like, yes, the combat wasn't my favorite. Just because, like I said, it's just not my thing. But it was still engaging enough that I had fun with it, that I wasn't dreading the fact that I had to do combat.
Yeah.
Right? Like, usually some games like that, I actually won't, like, I'll dread certain portions because I'm like, I just don't want to do it. I want to avoid it completely, but I know I have to do it to progress in story, blah, blah, blah. I found I did that sometimes, just depending on the kind of battles, I guess, or the reason for the battles. But I really liked the in-school battles, I guess you could say. Like, they had the houses compete against each other. So basically you had like a 3-on-3 like battle going on. So you had each of the different houses, but it was like the last house standing, right? Nobody was allied with each other.
Yeah.
Right. So technically you had to beat 2 of them, but then they also were attacking each other. And it was really interesting to kind of strategize how that would play out, right? So
yeah.
And I played pretty far. But I did drop it at some point. I don't really remember why. I think it just got busy and that I just never picked it up again. But, like, I didn't drop it because I wasn't having fun with it or that the story got dry. Like, I was, like, right in the peak of, like, everything. Like, the climax or whatever. Like, everything was happening and I stopped, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a really good game. Like, it was really well like design, like all the characters were interesting, like given the fact that there's so many that you can interact and build relationships with, like it was very well done in that perspective. And the fact that like you can you had to train all of these people, like all these students. You could actually recruit students from other houses too, so you could make your team even bigger if you wanted to. I recruited a few students, but I didn't recruit all of them. I wonder if you could recruit all.
You can
have empty houses.
So funny you say that, because I was going to mention this. There was some Let's Player, I don't remember who it was, but they did it as an experiment. Because after you beat the game, you can do a new game plus and inherit the relationships, the classes, and everything of all the students prior, and it just carries forward.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So this guy replayed the game enough times that he was able to recruit every single person that isn't fixed to a house. There's only 2 per house, and it's essentially the house leader and their like right-hand man.
Yeah.
They're fixed to the house. You can't sway them to leave. But it was funny because they did one of the school battles Holly was just talking about, and the game had to give them generic faceless troops to actually give them an army, because literally the entire school is your army.
Sometimes you still have those, like you'll actually still have extra people in your army because like you only have so many students. So they actually give you like extra like filler soldiers that will like still battle and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And every time like a player or a character does an attack, it does a whole like animation sequence for it too, which I thought was really cool. So yeah, visually too, the game was like really good. That's usually something that I like, is if it's pretty to look at, that's always a bonus.
Yeah.
One day I'll have to get you to try Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. That's my favorite Fire Emblem game. It's on the GameCube.
I don't know if this would persuade me to keep playing these styles of games. To be totally honest, I think this one was just kind of a fluke. I definitely would like to try more, especially if they interest me as much as Three Houses did. But like I don't think I would go out of my way to play another strategy-based RPG style game, you know? Yeah, I think Three Houses was kind of the exception. It was just kind of a rare thing. I'm not saying I don't want to play that game. I'm just saying that it's not, I'm not like, oh yeah, I want to play that so bad. It's
Oh yeah.
it's just kind of like, oh yeah, sure, maybe I'll try, like whatever. But like, yeah, you know. But yeah, it was a really good game. Like, I'm really glad that I saw it appear with as far as I know, it won one award.
The only one it was nominated for, it won, and that was Best Strategy Game.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm glad that it was acknowledged that it was a good release of 2019 game. I thought it was very unique. I thought the concept was really cool. I thought the gameplay was well executed. I thought the story was well. I thought, like, especially the characters. The character design was like probably the best part about the game. I think that's why I carried on with it so much, because I was really interested to see how each character grew and developed, and how they changed, and how they grew more towards you. So I think that was the star point of that game for sure. And I guess we'll move on to Sword and Shield. So yeah, I really liked Pokemon Sword and Shield. I know that there's a lot of talk going on about Pokemon Sword and Shield, and I know that there might be a handful of people who didn't even bother to play it because they may have not been able to get their desired Pokemon, because yes, they did erase half of our Pokedex, which
Mareep.
Mareep was unfortunately sacrificed.
One of my favorites.
And so was Bulbasaur.
Yeah.
Bulbasaur's like my favorite Gen 1 starter.
I don't really care about Bulbasaur, but I don't...
You can go fuck yourself.
I just want my Mareep.
Well, we got the Wooloo now.
When I was a kid,
cute.
I had a Mareep, and I used to call him Mareep the Sheep. And you know what his name was?
Mareep the sheep.
His name was Beep.
Beep the Mareep sheep?
Yeah.
That was so hard! Why was it so hard to figure out those words? Anyway, so yeah, I'll get into that later, because I do want to talk about the whole Pokedex thing. But overall, I really enjoyed playing Sword and Shield. I'll start with like my pros about it, I guess. There's just so much to cover that I just don't know where to start. But I really liked its visual design again. I really liked how they kind of evolved, I guess how like the style of Pokemon looks. Because I the last time I remember thinking that was when I played Pokemon X and Y.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that they kind of like evolved that way. I also like how they took some influences from Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, because I played that too and I really enjoyed that. That was a nice casual Pokemon experience. But one thing I really liked that they did take away from Let's Go was that they had the Pokemon appear in the overworld instead of like you just trucking through grass and like, oh my god, there's Pokemon all of a sudden. It kind of makes it feel a little bit more like a real world experience, you know what I mean? Because like when I think about Pokemon, like if I thought about I lived in the Pokemon universe, every kid does, is that you see Pokemon everywhere, like you see them everywhere. And that was something that we weren't getting from Pokemon games, is that when you're roaming around through the forests and the fields, is there's no Pokemon, right? They just like surprise attack you from who knows, God knows
pluck
where.
them out of the ground.
Yeah, God knows where. And then all of a sudden there's Pokemon there. But this kind of gave you a bit more of an idea of like, this world is inhabited by Pokemon, and that's what it really felt like, especially with Let's Go and with Sword and Shield. So I'm really glad that they kept with that theme and brought that back. Another thing is, my favorite part about Pokemon Sword and Shield was the gym battles. I didn't know if I was going to like it when we were seeing trailers and information about Pokemon Sword and Shield, and it was like this whole like soccer tournament looking thing. But my God, are they awesome. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like the crowd of people chanting for you or the epic music that's playing, but you really feel like you're in a Pokemon battle. And that was something I think that I lacked from when I played previous Pokemon games when I like battled gym leaders. I actually remember as a kid and recently playing Pokemon games, I actually didn't like gym leader fights. They were long, you had to battle multiple Pokemon, and it was interesting to see like the different gym leaders and whatever, but it wasn't my favorite part. For sure, right? Like sometimes, like I said, with Fire Emblem of other games, sometimes I would almost want to avoid it. I didn't want to do it. But like something about like walking into the stadium and then like having a Pokemon like battle, like that's what it feels like. It really does feel like it. And so that was like my favorite part because it just made it seem so grand and epic, and to me that's what Pokemon gym battles should feel like. You know, like you're battling the best of these Pokemon trainers. It should feel like an event, and that's what they made these gym battles feel like. It was an event. And I also thought I wasn't gonna like the whole Dynamax thing. Where they, you know, Dynamax or Pokemon, they get all big and gargantuan or whatever. I thought that was kind of gimmicky.
As a side note, I want to say how hilarious some of those are. I haven't played the game personally, but I love seeing footage of like, what's the sheep called? Wooloo? Of like a Wooloo just turning giant.
Yeah.
It slams on the ground, dust everywhere.
The earth shakes.
And then it just goes,
yeah. It's so, like I said, I thought it was going to feel kind of gimmicky, but especially in the gym battles, like it's like, whoa, like it's really cool because there's that big gigantic space because you're in the stadium, and they have to have that space for Pokemon to Dynamax, right? And like something about it feels like really big and epic, and like the gym leaders only will Dynamax their Pokemon if they're on their last Pokemon or if you Dynamax first, right? So if you wait until your last Pokemon to Dynamax, and it's kind of like the grand finale sort of thing, which makes it really feel epic. And like, the whole thing when they transform, you know, they come out and, you know, they stomp on the ground shakes, and they let out their Pokemon noise, and it's actually like at a lower pitch than it normally is.
Okay.
So the funniest one for me is that I usually have a Leafeon, and the Leafeon kind of like, I don't know how to describe.
They still have their
sound.
like 8-bit cries.
Yeah, and I don't know how to describe how a Leafeon sounds, but when you hear that in such a low pitch, oh, it's funny. It's like, it's so funny. It's hilarious.
It's drowning.
Just throws up everywhere.
And then like my Vaporeon, like it makes like this happy little like high-pitched cry, and then all of a sudden it's like really low and deep, and it's so funny. But yeah, I can rave about that all day, but like I think that was like my favorite thing about Pokemon Sword and Shield was the gym battles. And I really liked all the gym leaders. Like all of them were really unique, and they had all their different personalities, and I loved all their designs, and like they made it feel really special. And another thing that I guess I liked, I don't know, I'm kind of indifferent about it, was the whole wild area thing, where like you can pretty much catch any Pokemon. Like you can just roam around a wild area and catch a bunch of Pokemon.
Yeah.
I don't think that really mattered to me as much, because I'm not one of the kind of players that likes to fill the Pokedex. Usually I just catch the Pokemons that I want in my team, and then once I have my team, I'm like, Pokemon, whatever. I'll battle a Pokemon, but I won't catch them, right? Like, if I don't really want it, I won't catch it, right? I just let it be.
I think the wild area represents what the entire region should be. Like moving forward, how it's just nothing but like an open world. You can move the camera.
Yeah.
Pokemon are everywhere.
Yeah, like I like the whole concept of it, but like I said, to me it wasn't really like a selling feature. I wasn't be like, oh my god, I love this idea. But it was nice to have it.
Yeah.
Right? Because you could literally roam around and find any kind of Pokemon you wanted to, depending on the weather sometimes too, right? The weather would change in certain places, and you could only catch certain Pokemon when the right weather situation was there, right? So that I thought was really neat. I liked all, like, the cities. I liked all the characters. Like, the Arrival was kind of fun to have around. I also noticed, I don't really know, I didn't really focus on this previously, so I don't know if it's different with Pokemon Sword and Shield, but your rival, Hop, he's around a lot. Like, he's almost there.
He stalks you.
He's stalking me. Well, no, he's almost really present within your entire journey. Because normally sometimes it's just, oh, we're gonna go here, and then he would leave, and then you would just pass the whatever route all by yourself, but then he would be waiting for you in the next town, because, you know, he's battling all the same gyms that you're doing, right?
Yeah.
And it really felt like he was kind of there the whole time, right? So it felt like you were traveling with almost like a companion. And I thought that was kind of neat, because, like, your rival seems to be something important to you, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's your rival, right? But the fact that they were such close friends that, you know, they kind of stuck together, which I thought that was kind of nice. When I talked about Let's Go Eevee, Let's Go Pikachu, some things that they carried over, I wish they carried over more. I really wish they carried over the whole riding large Pokemon. I loved that. And had to have the wild area. I don't want to ride a bicycle. I want to ride a fucking Rapidash. Like, come on. Like, really, missed opportunity. You give me this big fucking area to run around in, and I can't ride a fucking Pokemon. I have to ride a fucking bicycle wearing a cheap-ass tracksuit. Like, come on.
Are you sure you enjoyed this game? This seems like it's really getting to you.
But no, like, I'm serious. But, like, why would... Like, I just don't understand that. That was one thing that was like, why wouldn't you just carry that over? Like, obviously it's possible. Like, it wouldn't be difficult to do, I don't think, because it's been done.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, you've created this new, bigger Pokemon world, but yet you still have me riding a bike? Like, really? Like, that... Like, I really kind of missed having my little Vaporeon prancing around behind me when I was playing Let's Go Eevee. Like, I was like... Why can't I have that in Sword and Shield? Because everybody else does. Like, you see them, the NPCs, they have all their Pokemon. Why can't I have it? Like, come on.
One thing I've always noticed with Game Freak, a lot of the time with a new Pokemon game, they always seem to have, like, it seems like they go 5 steps forward and then 20 steps back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because my Sword and Shield, I still want to play a Pokemon Sword eventually, but I'm not willing to pay for it myself. That's the type of thing I have to have gifted to me. Or I might just give up and play, like, borrow your copy of Shield.
Yeah.
But I don't know, for every for every 2 or 3 things that I see when you were watching it that went, wow, that's amazing, I'd also see like 7 or 8 things. I was like, why did they change that?
Yeah.
They ruined it.
Like, don't you actually have to collect an item to change the sound settings?
What?
I think so.
Really?
Yeah, supposedly it's like a pair of headphones you have to get.
I didn't know
and
that.
then you can like change the volume of the music.
I didn't know that.
Like, this is such an old school complaint. I just want the option, but they didn't give me the option. In Pokemon X and Y, you could turn off the EXP share. If you wanted to grind each Pokemon individually, you could. But in Sword and Shield, they removed the ability to do that. And I know it sounds on paper like such a stupid thing to complain about.
They just didn't think that many people were doing it.
But that's the thing is, to me, battling with my Pikachu and then my Charmeleon evolves, it feels like I'm cheating.
Yeah.
It bothers me so much. All I want is the option to turn that off.
Yeah.
And they took that away. I can get past that. I really can if the rest of the game is amazing and exactly what I wanted.
But it wasn't.
But it isn't exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
And like 5 out of my 6 go-to Pokemon are removed from the game.
Yeah.
So I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's another thing that the Pokedex didn't affect me personally.
They got rid of Mareep, but they kept Stunfisk.
Shush. It didn't bother me personally because I was still able to get like my top favorite Pokemon, which is, well, number 1 is Vaporeon, so they're never going to get rid of Eevee, and another one was Vulpix and Ninetales. So I was still able to have my 2 favorite Pokemon, so it didn't affect me that much. But yes, that was another complaint I had, is that they had some really like B-level Pokemon, and they got rid of some like top A contenders to keep these B-level Pokemon. Like, I don't really understand why. Like Sunfisk, like who the fuck wants a Sunfisk?
Sunfisk has a Galarian form.
Like, I'm sorry if people like Sunfisk, but like, holy shit,
It's okay. They don't.
Okay, they don't. But like, also too, like, I would have loved to not have Galarian Pokemon, to have more of the current Pokemon remaining. Like, I don't understand. Because I'm a very old school person when it comes to Pokemon. Gen 1 and Gen 2 are the only places I exist in. That's it. Maybe Gen 3. Maybe. Like 1 or 2. I don't understand why every time you guys make a new game, you feel that you have to make new Pokemon. Right? Like, shouldn't the evolution of your game be more important than creating filler? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I understand that maybe people want a few new Pokemon, but a few, right? And we don't have to introduce like 12 every time we make a new game. And this is the reason why they had to cut the Pokedex, is because they literally came across the problem that I've been noticing for years is, oh shit, we have too many. Like, we can't keep up with the demand now because we have too many fucking Pokemon. And it's just like, that would have been eliminated if you guys just stopped making so many stupid Pokemon. Like, some of them are stupid. Like, why? Like, I don't get it. Like,
I think a solution to that is actually more forms and less new ones.
yeah,
like,
exactly.
I
Like,
don't
you
know-
could make different, like, more evolutions if you really wanted to, I guess.
I have not met a single person that does not like Galarian Zigzagoon better than the original one.
Make like different, like if you have a different region, make a different form like the Galarian Zigzagoon for other kinds of Pokemon. You don't have to keep making new Pokemon for me to be entertained. But what I do want is I want a functioning Pokemon game. You know? Like I didn't have any personal issues with how Pokemon Shield functioned. Like I know I don't really play a lot of the online, but I heard a bunch of people had issues with like, you know, lagging with online and blah blah blah. And like that, I think that's gonna happen is because there's so many people online. I get it. It doesn't really affect me because I'm a shut in and I don't like playing with other people. I hate people. Go away, people. But yeah, like I would have liked to seen more stuff instead of new Pokemon. You know, like I don't really know what to say about that. But yeah, like just don't cut the Pokedex. Just stop making new Pokemon. You wouldn't have to cut your Pokedex. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right? You know? Or get rid of the ones that look like keys. And bring back the ones that look like dinosaurs. Because that's what people want. Like, come on. Like, the designs for Pokemon used to be so well thought out, and now sometimes they literally feel like afterthought. They just feel like, oh, we need to make something. Let's make something look like dessert. Or household items.
Sometimes
Let's
I wonder.
make one look like an apple!
Sometimes I wonder if like during their board meetings when they come up with brainstorm new Pokemon ideas, if some of them are literally like, well, we all just had filet mignon for dinner.
Yeah.
Filet-o guy.
Yeah, I imagine they have
Yeah.
like one guy who comes up with all the Pokemon. They're like, all right, what have you got for us this time? Keys. Are you okay? Ice cream. No, seriously, like, do you need a break?
Yeah.
Garbage.
But yeah, no, I think Pokemon would be a lot more successful if they focused less on producing so much Pokemon and kind of focused more on like how can we make like this world and like a game really represent what people think and people think what Pokemon is and what they feel about Pokemon, you know? Because, like, we all grew up playing this game as a kid. Our imaginations have been filled with endless possibilities. And yet we are adults still living in an age where we still can't see our Pokemon dreams come true because the developers are overwhelming themselves with things that don't really matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? Like...
Sometimes I really do feel, I hate to give into the conspiracy theory on this. Sometimes I feel like Game Freak is like, man, this would be a great idea. Let's not do it because we'll never top it. If we make the perfect game, we then have to improve it in a sequel.
Yeah.
If
Like-
they make a game that has obvious glaring flaws,
Yeah.
when Gen 9 comes out and it doesn't have those flaws, they're going to look like saints.
Yeah. Like, I don't want to shit all over Game Freak like it seems a lot of people do, because they have some good ideas and they have some bad ideas. And this happens with everybody. Like, they think something would be successful and it might not work. They think something's not as important when it really is to the fans. Like, people make mistakes. The reason why I think people shit all over Game Freak is because they keep making the same mistakes over and over again. But I feel that Pokemon Sword and Shield wasn't the crap that a lot of people think it is. Because I say this many times, is that it's a game. I enjoyed playing it, therefore it did its job as a game, right? It was fun, it entertained me. And the problems that it did have, I could overlook them because of how much I enjoyed the game and how much that was put into it. I just know that a lot of people's complaints is that they wanted to see more put into it for what they had to sacrifice, being the Pokedex. Because to my knowledge, Game Freak sacrificed the half of the Pokedex because they wanted to give better graphics or better frame rate or whatever, but we didn't really get any of that. And so I think that's why people are still really salty. But for those who feel that they need to retcon Sword and Shield and be like, I'm not going to play this because I can't have my favorite Pokemon, I feel you. And I know that's why you don't want to play it. I think if they had gotten rid of Vulpix and Ninetales, I probably would have said the same thing. I probably said, fuck Sword and Shield. I don't want to play that garbage. So I feel for you if your favorite Pokemon were executed. Or
In a public execution.
or Thanos out of existence.
All right, Delibird, wings behind your head.
But I still think that people, if you haven't already given Sword and Shield a chance, I still think you should, because I still think that you would find something that you would still enjoy out of it. And maybe just even form opinions on what you want to see come from Game Freak next for a new Pokemon game. I mean, that's probably going to be a long way from now, but there's some good things that Sword and Shield brought to the table that I think can still be carried over. But they still have some work to do on making our Pokemon dreams come true.
I feel like this game might have started its development on the 3DS.
It probably did.
And they didn't have time to
Yeah.
change everything to truly be what a Switch version of Pokemon could be.
Yeah, it probably did. Some of the things, now that I shat all over it, poor Sword and Shield, I love the legendaries. Thank you, Game Freak, for giving me wolves. That makes me very happy. And one of my favorite things that I freaked out about seeing was the Galarian was Weezing.
Oh yeah,
Because
with the mustaches.
He has smoke mustaches and a smokestack that looks like a top hat. That made me so happy. When I saw it, I freaked out when I saw it. I was like, this is the most amazing thing I have ever seen in my life. Like praise Jesus. Like that was the smartest thing that they could have done given like the theme of the Galarian region. You know, it's supposed to be kind of like, you know,
Europe.
London, Europe, kind of steampunky a little bit, and then they come up with this Galarian form for Weezing, and I'm like, this is just magic. Like, come on. and then the Zigzagoon was a really nice surprise. I really liked how they did the Zigzagoon.
Yeah.
And then the legendaries were really cool. I liked Shield better than I liked Sword. Zamazenta versus Zacian. The reason being is I struggled with this, trust me, because like they're wolves. I love wolves. And so I really wanted to make the right choice. And usually, you know, everyone wants to pick the sword because it's the sword, right? You know, everyone wants the shield, right? But the reason I picked sword and shield was because of the colors. I found Zacian and Zamazenta, they had very similar color scheme, but Zacian's colors were a lot like more dim than Zamazenta's, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like Zamazenta has more of a bright red and a bright blue color in him, and Zacian has more of like a lighter baby blue and kind of more pink colors. So I felt that he stood out to me more because he was bold and very colorful. And so that's why I picked Shield, is because like I remember looking at the two of them and being like, which one do I want? Which one do I want? And then I kept leaning towards Shield, and I was like, I had to think to it. I'm like, why am I leaning more towards this Pokemon? And it was just because his colors were bold. He stood out so much. Like he was, like his big shield was large and still colorful, and everything about him just screamed to me that like this is cool, right?
Yeah.
And then Zacian just kind of felt like faded, you know what I mean? So that's why I was like, I have to pick this one. And but like normally I'm a sword person, not a shield person. So that was a difficult one for me. But yeah. And then as part of the legendaries in the story, I liked how because when I mentioned your rival Hop, he basically, like, I don't want to spoiler alert. I don't know if you guys care about spoiler alerts. It's a Pokemon game. It's not that important. But basically, Hop takes whatever legendary you do not take. So basically, you become, well, for me, I became the shield and Hop became the sword. So I thought that was kind of neat, that your rival was not just a rival, that he was part of like this legendary experience too, because like he too took Zacian as I took Zamazenta, which I thought that was kind of cool. It felt like more he was a main character rather than just my rival. Whatever, he doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know? And character growth was really cool for Hop as well too. Just based on the story, you know, his big brother is supposed to be the champion that the two of you are trying to, you know, live up to and eventually beat.
Yeah.
And, you know, he goes through a lot of, because, you know, he always loses to you, right? And he's trying to beat his big champion brother. So he goes through a lot of emotional stages. And it's kind of a deep thing for a Pokemon game, which I liked a lot. And you had some other rivals as well, too. You had two other rivals, I don't remember their names.
One looks like an old woman.
He's not an old woman. Beatty and I think her name was Marnie. I want to Marianne or I don't know, M something. But like they were all really fun to battle, and you know it was fun to like get to know them, their characters, and all that kind of stuff, and how they fit into the story as well. And like I enjoyed it. I kind of beelined right through the main story because that's what I wanted to experience most of all. Yeah. So I feel like I missed out on a few things. Like I do want to kind of replay it because Tom and I were watching a video, and apparently there's some curry making that you can do. You can eat curry. I don't know what that's all about.
Yeah, I would have rather they don't put in curry making and have more Pokemon.
I know, right? So that confused me a little bit.
That's the new Pokemon.
Imagine if that's like There's a secret Pokemon you can only catch by cooking a bunch of food over and over and over again.
Oh, it's the legendary curry Pokemon, Tikamasol.
Oh my god. But yeah, no, like that I didn't experience. And I think there was a couple other like mini games or something that I just didn't do. And then there's a lot of I guess you would call it New Game Plus. Basically, after you catch your legendary and beat the Pokemon League and blah 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 and be the champion and blah blah blah, there's other stuff that you can do. There's a little kind of mini story arc that happens actually right after. Which I thought was kind of fun. I played through that too, and that was kind of interesting. Basically, you got to actually fight like kind of wild Dynamax Pokemon as like a solo experience for a little bit, which was cool. Because like I know, other than that, to fight and catch Dynamax Pokemon, you have to be in like an actual party of people to do it. So it was nice to have a solo experience to kind of do that. But yeah, no, I mean, overall, like, it was fun. I had fun with Pokemon Sword and Shield. Shoot me if you will. But, like...
Well.
Here I go! Yeah, like, I know I run on a lot when I talk on my own. I just... Things fill my head.
It's a podcast.
And I know, but sometimes I feel like I repeat myself. But yeah, to sum it up, Pokemon Sword and Shield was not hot pile of garbage. If you haven't played it, just try and play it. Like, I swear to God, you'll have a little bit of fun. Maybe you'll still be pissed off about the Pokedex, but I don't know. Like, just don't be Scrooge. I know it makes
Don't be rude, be a cool dude.
I know it makes you mad. It made me mad, but I got over it real quick because it was a fun game. So, yeah. That's all I have to say.
So, Rob, do you or I have any questions about Pokemon Shield or Fire Emblem for Holly?
I don't know. I think you pretty much covered it.
I tried to cover everything that I could remember, but yeah.
Right.
I mean, I played Sword and Shield more recently than I played Fire Emblem, so I remember a bit more, but yeah.
All right, drum roll. I'll add one in post. Okay, Holly, what was your game of the year?
Oh, I forgot I had to do that. It's very neck and neck, and the only reason why I choose this one is because how surprised I was that I played it and enjoyed it. It would be Fire Emblem Three Houses. Because it was just such a shock to me and everyone around me of how into it I got and how much I enjoyed it, being it a genre that I normally would not touch unless it was Pokemon. Because it's kind of the same shit. I realized that. But yeah, no, my game of the year would be Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Okay.
Well, Rob.
All right. So,
what are yours? You already said yours.
Yeah. Mine were Slay the Spire and Baba Is You. I guess I'll start with Slay the Spire because it's on top in your little graphic there. Basically it's kind of a roguelike in like that it's randomly generated, it has permadeath in it, but it's like a card battler. So you start out with a little deck of cards and you just sort of follow this branching path through mostly battles, but then you also find like treasure. You have sort of tabletop RPG kind of encounters where some character will just come up to you and be like, "Here, I'll make you a trade. You'll get this artifact in exchange for however much HP or whatever."
Okay.
So yeah, you've got those. You've got sort of boss battles, and then a shop where you can get other cards and potions and stuff. And yeah, I mean, it's one of those games where you'll start a run, and it's like, okay, I've been playing a lot while I listen to podcasts. And, it'll be like, okay, so yeah, I'll play this for, an hour until this episode ends. Then the episode will end, and I'll realize, oh, it's been half an hour since that episode ended. Well, I mean, I'm not dead yet. Let's just keep going.
So, guys, you could play Slay the Spire while you listen to a Wildrose podcast.
That's right. But yeah, it's such a perfect mix of just like that roguelike gameplay loop that I love so much, where you're just constantly like running into new stuff and like having encounters that you've never had before just because of like how the numbers work. And then also, I've realized I really need to play more card battlers because I get super into them. Like this one especially, with like the shop, and then every enemy that you beat, you get a choice of 3 random cards. You get to pick one and add it to your deck. Like, it just so perfectly recreates that feeling of, like, you know, when we were kids collecting, like, Yu-Gi-Oh cards and all that, and, like, going to the card shop.
Those were the days.
Yeah. I was playing it this morning just sort of, like, getting notes for this segment. And it was at one point where, like, I'd only run into one shop in the entire run I was doing. And I had like 500 gold. And I was just like, I want that one. I want that one. I want that one. I want that one. I want this potion. I want that one. I have 50 gold left. That was 41. I want it. Like, it's... And then, like... So you basically have 3 different characters who all, have, like, their own thing going on. Like, you have sort of a basic warrior that's more focused on just sort of, like, maximizing attack and defense. You have... I guess, like, sort of a wizard, where you do a lot of stuff with, like, poisons and status effects. The one that I've actually enjoyed the most is, I forget what they call it in the game. It's basically like a robot. And you evoke, whatever, the different elements. You have 3 slots. And so each one of them will have, like, its own effect. Like, lightning will damage your opponent at the end of your turn. And you have to, like, figure out, okay, well, how do I... like, maximize this and figure out, like, how to get as much damage as possible. How do I make those work for me in the rest of my attacks? Like, there's just so much depth to it in terms of, like, how your character works with specific cards, how different cards work together, and, like, the combos you can pull off.
Yeah.
Like, every single battle, it's like, wow, that was great and really satisfying, and I still haven't had enough. Let's keep going.
I need more.
Yeah, like, it's... Man, I just had a lot of fun with that one. And I've barely gotten into it at all. Like, just in terms of how much there is.
Yeah.
So you can just, like, keep going and going and going. So, yeah, I mean, that's Slay the Spire. Yeah, the other one was Baba Is You, which is a puzzle game, which is, like, another genre that, for some reason, I thought for a long time, like, I'm not really into puzzle games. That I looked like, a lot of, like, my favorite games are puzzle games. Like, Luminous was one, it didn't come out this year, but I played a lot this year, and, like, that's great. But anyway, Baba Is You basically, like, you have sort of blocks and obstacles that you have to move to eventually get to a goal at the end of each level. But the thing that's really interesting about it is, you have all these, like, specific rules for each level that are laid out in text. So it'll say, like, Baba is you. That indicates that you're the character Baba, little blob guy.
Right, yeah.
And it'll be like, rock is push, which means you push the rock. But all the words in those rules are also blocks that you can push around.
What?
So, like, say...
Oh, you can change the rules depending on where you put the words?
Yeah.
Oh,
so, like,
that's cool.
say you have a room where, you've got a flag behind a door.
Yeah.
And, it says, like, flag is win, door is shut. It, you could conceivably, move the words around. So it's like, Baba is you, and then, move is win below Baba. So now Baba is win. And there you go, the level's over. And, like, it does so much with that and creates, like, such... like, really involved puzzles.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's a neat concept.
Yeah, like, that's another one. I was playing it while listening to a podcast. Yeah. Like, an hour-long thing. And in the podcast ended, I realized I'd been staring at the screen for an hour. Hadn't solved the puzzle. Like, I'd just been trying stuff out, like, no, that didn't work. That's not gonna work.
Yeah.
And, again, made no progress. Realized... Man, I had a great time.
Yeah. Just staring at this screen.
And, like, it's one of those games where, like, I'll put it down to go to work or whatever, and all day I'll be like, oh, what if I move push there? What if I put the rock there? Like, it's just one of those games where, like, it's so rewarding even when you're not actually like getting rewarded for anything.
Yeah.
It's just like super engaging and like.
Well, that's the nice thing about puzzle games is that when you solve the puzzle, you just have this own like self like.
Yeah.
I did it.
Like, yay, I did it. I'm not stupid. Right? You know, like self gratification or whatever it is. But
Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as you solve the puzzle, like you feel great and you're like, yeah, let's do more, right? I think that's the great thing about puzzle games.
Well, like the solutions can get so abstract. It's like, you know, when you solve it, it's like, oh shit, I'm a genius.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like the one I did
clever.
recently, like basically you had what was it? Yeah, you had these portals that, you know, teleported things, but you could also instruct them to, you know, so it's like, forget what they call it, but like basically like portal is push. Mm-hmm. And so what you ended up having to do was put push in one and teleport in the other, and then just like get them to keep switching back and forth so you could push it into a moat and then you know, have it like teleport away a block of water so then you could get to the flag and win the stage.
Nice.
Like it's constantly just throwing like new stuff at you and new
weird
ways to do
curveballs,
things.
That's cool.
And like I don't know, I just like even just looking at that guy on screen, like it's just got such a really unique style to it.
What is Baba? Is he a rabbit?
Cute.
I think he's like sort of a rabbit thing. You know, he's got his little ears.
Yeah, he's cute. He's cute.
But yeah, like it's the visuals are like the closest thing I can compare it to, like visually and in terms of sound, is Goner. Like it's just so almost like psychedelic and atmospheric. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, like, what else to say about that game.
Oh, you've already sold me on it. That sounds good.
Like, I mean, unless, you know, like you said, unless you guys have questions about either of the ones I've named.
I wouldn't say really a question. I have a GameCube game called Baton Katos, I think it's called.
Okay.
I can kind of see it here with the lights
right there.
shining on it, and I can't really read it.
Eternal Wings and the Lost Ocean.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a hidden gem on the GameCube. Mm-hmm. So I picked it up, and I didn't play it because it's a card battler, and I've never been particularly interested in those. So one day on the channel, we'll have to try Slay the Spire.
Yeah.
And I'd be interested in, like, getting you to try Baton Katos, and, like, maybe we play it on the channel, or maybe I just shove it in your backpack one day or something. But I now that you have discovered you like them, I'm curious what other games are out there that I would have never tried and you would have never tried that we can now give a shot to.
Yeah, like I'm constantly on the lookout now for like, oh, maybe I'd like this, or maybe I'd like this. Like, yeah, I should probably try Hearthstone at some point.
The closest thing to a card battler, I guess it technically is, but the closest thing to a card battler I've ever played is like the old Yu-Gi-Oh! Game Boy games.
Yeah, I've always wanted to try those out.
Those were just playing the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game.
Yeah.
On a game, on a console. Actually, when you were talking about Baba's You, it actually reminded me of a game that my sister introduced me to that I'd never heard of. It was called The Ultimate Chicken Horse.
I've been wanting to play that one, actually.
And when you were just describing Baba's You, I kept thinking about that game because it's got, I don't know, like the art style too. It looks like, you know, like a fifth grader drawn some cartoony animals or whatever. But basically, that's what you are. You're animals, and you go through a stage, and obviously the levels get harder and harder. But usually there's like a start point and then a finish line, and then at the beginning of each round, it gives you a bunch of items that you can choose from. And you get to choose one item per round. And then so each of the players, I think you can play up to like 4 players. Each of the players picks an object and they can place it anywhere on the screen. And basically you have to build a bridge to the goal. And so at the same time, it's like a race. Like whoever gets to the flag first will win. But there are certain like rewards and penalties. So if you make it too easy to get there, to the point where all of the players are able to get to the flag, then it won't give you any points because it's like, it's too easy.
Yeah.
You got to make this more harder, right? And then again, it'll start a new round and it'll give you other objects. So it'll give you things like blocks of wood to make bridges out of, or stairs, or like, like, you know, like trap obstacles, like spikes or like slippery things that you can put on surfaces, or like freaking hockey sticks that wham you with hockey pucks, or flowers that slap you, and it's really fun, but like it can get kind of difficult because like you basically make the stage.
Yeah.
And it just gives you a start and an end point, and then there's some stages will give you like extra obstacles that are just part of the stage. But basically you make all the obstacles that are in your way, so you have to make it difficult enough for your opponents to can't get through, but you still have to get there to win the points, right? And so sometimes if you're like the only one like to get there, it'll give you extra points, or you can collect, like you can put coins on the map and collect coins for extra points and stuff. It's a really wicked fun game though. Like I never would have thought it existed, but my sister got it on her Switch.
Yeah.
And I've been to her house a couple times just for sister night or whatever, and she's like, "Oh, let's play the Ultimate Chicken Horse." And I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" And like they call it that because like the two main characters are a chicken and a horse. You can get other ones, like we have a squirrel, a raccoon, a chameleon, and a sheep. Because you can unlock new different animals.
Right.
And they all make cute, funny noises when they die. It's hilarious. But yeah, no, it's just like when you were describing Baba Is You, that's just what I was thinking about, because it's like it was kind of like a puzzle game, but like it was really neat that like you have the ability to make yourself successful, or like doom yourself by putting something in the wrong spot, right? Because if you make it too difficult, no one can get past, right? Not even you. So but yeah, no, I that's just what I wanted to mention. Like I guess that would have been another game I played this year, I guess, because I don't own it. I only ever play it when I go to my sister's, but it's a wicked fun game. If you have the chance to play it, I would definitely play it. But obviously it's more fun with friends, because you just it's nice. You never know what everybody else is gonna do, right?
Yeah. So. Yeah, actually, another game I'd sort of compare it to, just because like I saw the point made in a Game Maker's Toolkit video, is Scribblenauts on the DS.
Yeah, I think I heard of that one too.
They're sort of similar in that they're like they're both puzzle games that require a fair bit of creativity from the player.
Yeah.
The point that like this video made, and that I realized I actually really agree with, is like I haven't gotten into Scribblenauts as much as I thought I would, because like it actually doesn't put the kind of constraints on you that Baba Is You does.
Oh, okay.
Like a lot of the example that was made in the video, in which like I have played it this way, is like a lot of the stages you can just kind of do just by like creating yourself a jetpack and then jetting over to the goal.
Right, yeah, it's too easy.
Yeah, and then like when that doesn't work, it's like, well, but that's what always works, so screw this.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Like,
so it's like
Baba Is You,
there's no point in doing anything unique and different.
Yeah, and like Baba Is You actually put stuff in your way where it's like, okay, well, I can't just move Iswin over to Baba.
Yeah.
So it's more engaging that way.
Yeah, it makes you have to think a little bit harder.
Yeah.
So between the two, Rob, which one's your game of the year? Drum roll.
I feel like I probably gave it away with how much more I went on about it, but my winner is Baba Is You.
Yay, Baba!
I
wanted him to win.
Like I just love how creative that game is in like every aspect.
Yeah. No, I was really interested when Tom was making the pictures for it. He's just like, this is Rob's game of the year. This blob here. I was so I gotta hear this story. Like why? What is this?
It just
what's so special about this white rabbit blob?
It just looks so funny on the screen next to all the other ones we've got here.
Yeah, it does. It's just like hanging out. It's like, hey guys, I'm the best and you know it.
I could kill you, Jedi. I'm gonna kick your ass.
With his dead blank stare.
Yeah, you just see him coming from off in the distance, pushing the words "is defeat." Oh no.
Baba is death.
All right, well, I guess that leaves me.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
So I've spent the past couple of weeks thinking about this, because it's so difficult for me to pick between these two games, and not entirely for the reasons you might think. My two games are The Outer Worlds and Jedi Fallen Order.
And The Outer Worlds was actually a Game of the Year nominee.
So, Jedi Fallen Order, I'm going to start there, it was very much a surprise for me. I gave in to temptation and gave EA one more chance. And before everybody in the comments goes nuts, no, it's not an EA game, it's a Respawn game. EA was the publisher, they own the licensing rights, they had more power over it than some people saying that realize. I gave EA one more chance, and they didn't rip me off. Jedi Fallen Order.
It's a Christmas miracle.
Yeah, really. Jedi Fallen Order is a really good game. The internet at large is sick of this comparison, but combat-wise, I would compare it to Dark Souls or Bloodborne in terms of its movement and sort of parrying mechanics, but not in terms of its difficulty. So if you're someone that really, really hates those games because of how hard they are, like Holly, you won't have that problem with Jedi Fallen Order, especially since it does have a difficulty selection. If you do find it too difficult, you can lower it. I actually did have to play the game on easy right in the beginning because the controls were weird for me at first. They were just it's like when you play a game that behaves exactly the same as, say, Breath of the Wild, but its attack button is a different button.
Yeah.
You know? So it's not that its controls were bad, it's that its controls were different than what I kept trying to do. So I set the difficulty to easy just to give me that leeway of, oh shit, this stormtrooper's beating on me, but I'm not going to die in 2 hits because I've set it on easy and now I can learn the mechanics. And then by the time I got like halfway through the second planet, I set the difficulty to normal, I think, or hard or whatever. I don't remember. I think it was just normal. They didn't use that name. They used like Jedi Knight, Jedi Master, Jedi God. Like I can't remember what they all were. But they use names like that, so I can't remember which was which, but I set it basically to whatever is normal. And from that point on, I didn't really struggle too hard. The game is challenging, but not too challenging. Every time I did die, it felt like it was because of my own mistake, which is the best way to feel. Wait, the worst thing about a game like this, when you die, if it feels like you got gypped, if it feels like, oh, fuck, why didn't I stun him? Or why didn't this work? Then you just get angry at the game.
Yeah.
I didn't have any of those problems with Jedi Fallen Order. I've been seeing, like, sort of, I guess, like, GIFs and memes of some of the glitches that are in the game. I personally did not encounter any of them. I just wanted to say that, just to say, like, to me, it was like a nearly flawless performance experience. I played the game on the Xbox One X, so I don't know if playing it on the normal Xbox One or if on the PS4, PS4 Pro, which platform you're playing it on, maybe that changes how well it runs and whether or not there are glitches. I don't know. I didn't look that far into it. But it's worth saying I didn't personally encounter any glitches, but I wasn't trying to... I've never been someone who tries to break the game. I'm someone that goes, oh, there's 2 paths, but there's a 3rd path I clearly can't get to yet. I'm not someone that's, I'm going to spend the next 45 minutes of my life trying to figure out a way to glitch my way up there. And I feel like some of these glitches are the people that do that because they'll find a way to get up to an area they're not supposed to be in, and then...
The game doesn't know how to process.
Yeah, because you don't have a power-up you're supposed to have, and then you get trapped, and then you go, oh, what a shitty game! No, you sequence broke it, and it fucked you over. So, it is what it is. I didn't encounter any glitches. So, Jedi Fallen Order, the developers say the games that inspired its gameplay were Dark Souls and Bloodborne, Uncharted, Zelda, and Metroid. Metroid Prime, specifically, which... You take one look at how Jedi Fallen Order does its map system. Oh, it's just Metroid Prime's map. That's exactly how Metroid Prime does its maps. I like all of the above of those games.
Yeah.
And
those are all great games.
The game works amazing as it is, and it is a really good single-player experience. Its story is really good. Like, I'm almost depressed that this is the video game we get that's so good and Disney has fucked up all the movies. Because I would watch a TV show about Cal Kestis. That's the main character of the game. I would watch this as a show, and because of how good the graphics are, that's basically... When you're in a cutscene, it's like you're watching a show, right?
Yeah.
We're hitting that point with games now where it's like, wow, look, it's Norman Reedus. And it's just fucking Norman Reedus, you know? But anyway... Jedi Fallen Order was a surprise hit for me. I really wasn't expecting it. One negative I do have is the game was advertised and tries to trick you into feeling like it is essentially open world. You can go to any planet at any time, and think of it as almost like Breath of the Wild, where you're told, kill Ganon. How you go about it is up to you. That's what this game tries to make you feel like is going on, but it isn't. So, right in the start of the game, you have like a fixed mission, and then a second fixed mission on a planet that you're told you have to go to. Once you do that planet, you're given choices between 2 planets. Might be 3, but I think it's 2. And you're told this planet is incredibly difficult. Don't go here. Not yet. Go to this planet and do the plot. But the game basically tells you both planets are your objective, but planet B is really hard. We recommend you go planet A.
Yeah.
So, of course, I'm the side quest guy that always takes the left instead of the right. So I went to the planet that's super fucking hard. And you know what? It was super fucking hard, but I was able to get as far as I possibly could on that planet. But then I needed power-ups that I just did not possess. So one of the Metroid comparisons is as you progress, and also Zelda comparisons, as you progress, you go through temples and dungeons, and what Cal gets in those temples is knowledge or an ability for himself or his little droid companion, BD1. So for example, BD1 will get the ability to go up and down railings, and you can like hang on to them and go up and down those railings with him. So it increases like traversal. But Cal can also learn a force jump, which is just a double jump, and so on and so forth. So anyway, I went to the difficult planet first and encountered an area where it was, clearly later in the game you get a double jump. Like, I can't get up this ledge, and it's the only way to go.
Yeah.
So then I had to leave and go do the other planet. And then beating that planet gave me a choice of 2 planets or so. I can't remember exactly. But I went to planet B, not planet A. And the same thing. I encountered an obstacle I could not progress past until I went back to planet A, beat planet A. Oh, look at that. The ability I got by beating the planet is what I needed on planet B. So you go to planet B. It gives you the option to go to these planets.
Yeah. But
you can't really do them.
It gives you the freedom, but then limits you anyway.
Yeah. And that's the game devs, I feel, talked it up as being like, you can go whatever planet you want, whatever order you want. Not really. You have the ability to go there and be like,
just explore it.
Look at that mountain.
But you can't finish it.
Yeah, you have the ability to go there and go, look, that mountain's cool. I want to go there. Oh, you will go there, but not yet. And that's my biggest complaint with the game thus far. The story and characters, I fell in love with them. They're great. I would almost say I like Cal Kestis as much as I like Luke Skywalker. Like, he's really well written, and I really like him. And I can't recommend the game enough to Star Wars fans. Even fans that hate the new canon ever since Disney bought it, erased the old canon, started their own thing. Even fans who hate that, Fallen Order is really good. I really recommend it. You get so many different cosmetic items, and you can customize the way Cal looks, the way BD1 looks, the way your ship looks. Your shipmates are really awesome characters. Your lightsaber, you can change it to every color under the rainbow except for red. A lot of people are upset you can't have it red, but it is a linear story about a hero, and a red lightsaber in Star Wars basically means you're evil. So it kind of makes sense to me. Like, you can have purple and pinkish purple and pink and cyan and blue, like,
and orange.
If there's any color under the rainbow except for red, like, you can have, like Holly said, you can have an orange lightsaber in the heat of the moment in battle. It's pretty hard to tell it's not red. So, like, really, if you're that horny for a red lightsaber, just equip the orange one.
Yeah.
But I also get it that it's like, oh, you gave us every color but one. Why not just give us the other one?
It's like part of the story, so that makes sense.
Yeah,
right?
I guess. I agree and disagree with the complaint there. I don't dock it any points for it personally, but I understand the complaint. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say specifically about Jedi Fallen Order. So I guess I'll move on to the Outer Worlds. The Outer Worlds, if you have played Mass Effect and you have played Fallout and you wondered, what if these games had a baby? And if you think you'd like that baby, you need to play The Outer Worlds. The Outer Worlds is a fantastic experience. I absolutely love it. The character on my portion of the screen you're seeing there is actually my character as he currently looks right now with his cool scythe thing. I love the melee combat in The Outer Worlds. It feels so smooth and responsive and fast-paced. There's a real weight to hitting the enemies. And I played it so much with melee combat that I forgot it's also a first-person shooter. And at one point, I pulled out like a... I don't know what the gun's actually called, but it looked and reminded me of the DMR in Halo. So anybody who's played Halo knows what I'm talking about. Think of it as like a single-shot rifle with a scope. Instead of it going, it goes bang, 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 right?
Okay.
So I pulled it out and I had to use it. I used it essentially just as a scope so I could scout out an area. But then I just thought, I'll try shooting these guys instead of running in there and hitting them. And even the shooting, the mechanics of it, it feels like a great first-person shooter. But then the melee combat feels like a great hack and slash RPG. There's something in there for everybody. If you want a shooter, but you want to play The Other Worlds, you can play it just as a shooter and it plays just fine. If you hate guns and want to pretend it's some sort of sci-fi fantasy thing, like with axes and swords and whatever, the game has those and you can use them and they feel just fine. And I really love that the game blends those two formulas, or those two styles rather, together so well, because there's something for everybody there. Like in Fallout, you roleplay your character however you want to play it. Any NPC you want, you can kill or save or whatever. And the game gives you real freedom. There's a point in the game, it's funny, this is actually what helped me decide my game of the year. Was this game gives you lots of open freedom of choice. So how to put this? After you do your first planet, basically when you're on your first planet, you're told go to this ship. I did not go to the ship. I was literally right in front of it, and then I turned to my left and saw city lights in the distance. So I went to the city. And I ended up going to the city, doing a whole bunch of side quests, recruiting 2 people to my squad, basically doing every single side quest that was on this planet, then went to the ship, and the ship was like, we won't run unless we have this item. And it was an item I'd already gotten because I'd gone and done shit. So I was able to just go in the ship and take off and have my crew. Then the game told me, you have to land on this planet. That's where your next objective is. But in order to get clearance to land in the spaceport, you have to go to this space station first and talk to this person. You can still go to this planet if you want, but your ship will land in like an area infested with hard to kill enemies, and we don't recommend you do that. So I said, fuck it, and went to the planet. And I was able to stealth. The game's got great stealth mechanics as well.
Jesus.
I was able to stealth my way past all of the enemies that could kill me in like one hit. And I ended up just going through this planet, recruiting another person to my crew, basically doing everything I could on this planet before I even went to the settlement I was supposed to go to. The game gives you the freedom to just play it however the fuck you want. And that is so fun. That was my deciding factor. Jedi Fallen Order and The Outer Worlds. I had a hard time picking between the two of them because for all of the positive these games have, they aren't technically anything new. Jedi Fallen Order feels like Dark Souls, Metroid, Zelda, and Uncharted had a baby.
Yeah, it's stuff we've seen before, and we've seen Star Wars games before.
Yes. The Outer Worlds feels like Mass Effect and Fallout had a baby. At their cores, they aren't experiences that haven't existed previously. If you like Fallout or Mass Effect, you will probably like The Outer Worlds, and you will find an experience familiar and new, but it's not entirely new. And I like new experiences, but it's worth saying that these games felt new enough that I enjoyed them a lot. So it was really hard for me to pick which one would be my game of the year. And it came down to that factor that I was saying before. Jedi Fallen Order tells you can go anywhere, but you can't. The Outer Worlds tells you can go anywhere, and you can. So I picked The Outer Worlds as my game of the year. I really recommend it to anybody who's curious about it. For that matter, I recommend Jedi Fallen Order as well. But man, The Outer Worlds was such an acid trip. Like, it was. Remember when the first time you played Breath of the Wild and you went, man, I don't have any weapons. I can't take on that Bokoblin camp. I wonder if I can set the grass on fire.
Yeah.
The Outer Worlds is full of those moments where it was, man, I can't use my melee weapons here unless on this enemy because he's like full of amazing armor. What can I do? I'll pull out my gun and I'll like scout the area. Oh, look, there's a lever over there. So you stealth your way to that lever, you pull a lever, and then like a landslide demolishes this guy. There's so many different things to do and ways to go about playing the game. There's actually a Let's Player that's done, I can't remember his name. I'd plug him if I did remember. But he's done an entire playthrough of the game without doing any combat. Because he's stealth past every single combat and every single boss. If you approach them without triggering combat, you can talk to them and you can negotiate your way out of fighting.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Like, it's such a free form game. It's just a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong though, Jedi Fallen Order, I almost look at them equally, but for different reasons. But the reason why I pick The Outer Worlds is that player freedom. There is something so special about, for example, if I threw my Xbox One X and The Outer Worlds on your lap, Rob, told you to go home, come back tomorrow and play the game, the experience you get from it, assuming you liked it and stuck with it, but the experience you get from it, the way you approach things, totally different than me.
Yeah, we don't get a lot of games that actually give player freedom, so they're quite hard to come by, and there are little gems when they do show up.
So that's my game of the year, is The Outer Worlds.
All right.
I guess that's just about it. I was thinking about how we should end this podcast. Anybody else have any thoughts?
Were we gonna talk about like games we're looking forward to in 2020?
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
All right.
All right, here we go.
So, let's start with Holly, because I know what you're gonna say.
What do you think I'm gonna say?
Well, you're such a Halo fan.
I know. Oh, I'm so excited for Halo. Actually, I played Halo once with you, and I didn't hate it.
Halo's...
First-person shooters are just not my thing. I don't like shooting things.
Yeah.
Except in Red Dead.
Well, Red Dead's not really a shooter.
I can still shoot things.
You can, but it doesn't behave like a shooter. It's a shooter for people who don't like shooters.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good way to describe it. Is it stuff that I hope comes in 2020 or stuff that I...
Either or.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. Well, there's a few things that I would like to see. Well, obviously, I need more Zelda information. I really want to know what's up with the sequel. I want to know more about it. I want to know when I can play it. I want to know when I can have it. And I just want someone to talk about it. Like, we haven't heard anything in a really long time other than seeing that trailer. And that trailer raised so many questions that it has everybody up in a tizzy. I have a really bad itch. And I want to know. I want to know more. That's all I want. Like, even if it's something small, right? Like, even if it's not a release date, but it's just something extra. Something else to just kind of get my mind turning. You know, sometimes I like the, you know, imagination that I can conjure up just by having that extra bit of information. But all we've had so far is that one trailer, right? And now we don't have anything else. And now people have picked the trailer dry. We need something else to give us, you know, an idea of what to expect. And that's just kind of what I want to see. I'm sorry, that's really itchy.
One thing I want to say about Breath of the Wild 2 is I heard a theory the other day that I think might be true. So there was one theory that because it's being built on the same game engine and using the same assets as Breath of the Wild, there was a lot of theory going around before the Game Awards that the Game Awards would have like an in-depth trailer, a release date, and the release date would be March 3rd on the 3-year anniversary of Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
And a lot of people noticed a very big absence of Nintendo at the Game Awards.
Yeah.
A lot of people are speculating that maybe because Sony and Microsoft both have now confirmed that Xbox, I guess Series X, but the next Xbox and the PS5 are both coming out holiday 2020. A lot of people are now speculating that Zelda was delayed from March to November to be their big holiday heavy hitter to keep them in the news when their competitors are having new platforms coming out.
Yeah.
And I think that could be true.
Oh, no.
The only thing that keeps me from believing that is, like, when they showed it off at E3, like, just this past year,
Yeah.
all they said was the sequel to Breath of the Wild is in development.
Yeah.
Like, that's, to me, that sounds really early on in the process.
Yeah. But what made me think that, you know, it could be soon is one, we had a full trailer. 2, it is being built on the same engine as Breath of the Wild, clearly.
Yeah.
It obviously started out as DLC that got too large, which means it was probably, you know, a lot of it, you know, already created.
Yeah.
So it made me believe that, you know, it was like the process definitely has already started, but maybe that it was more far along than just like, oh, it's coming.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
it is. Like for example, the new Elder Scrolls, right? Like they say it's coming, so they showed us a little blip of landscape, just getting us to shut the fuck up, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that we had a full-on trailer, right, and it just makes me believe that there's more than that meets the eye. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Like it's clearly
And
not a Metroid Prime 4 situation.
I don't know if that's just me being hopeful because I need more Zelda. Obviously, I'm collecting fucking Koroks for fuck's sakes. But like I feel that there's more to it than they're leading on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like they're gonna sucker punch us in the face by the time it does. You know, by the time they do announce it. But yeah, I was hoping that Nintendo seems to be like very what's the word I'm looking for? I guess repetitive with like release dates and stuff like that. Like as far as I'm concerned, whenever there was a new Zelda game,
It's always been November until Breath of the Wild.
yeah, it was consistent with when they released it. So it seems that seems to be a recurring thing as far as I'm concerned. So it wouldn't be unthinkable that Breath of the Wild could be a March thing, whether it's March this year or next year, or 2020 or 2021. I have no idea. I hope it's not 2020.
Yeah.
For my sanity's sake. But I've been waiting, Nintendo. You showed me a teaser, and you give me nothing. Don't make me wait, please. God forbid, don't make me wait. But yeah, no, I like I said, I just don't know if it's just me being hopeful, but I think it's a little farther along than what we think. You know, like I said before, it was rumored that, you know, this sequel was DLC that just got too big. So obviously the DLC got too big. So there's going to be more, but that might mean that a lot of it's already done, right? And they might just be polishing it off, changing a few things just because now it's going to be a sequel or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I need something. I need something to tell me that there's hope, right? You know, I've been disappointed many times with my favorite games, which is another one I'm going to mention. But like I just don't want to be disappointed. Something I would love to see next year, not as a release, but at least tell me about it. And I'm gonna keep saying it. People are gonna get sick and tired of me saying it. I want more Okami, fuck damn it! Come on! Like I feel like there's a fish dangling in front of my face, like I'm a cat saying, "Eat it! It's all for you!" And then they just yank it out of my way when I want to catch the damn thing, and it's torture. It really is. It's torture. Stop torturing me. That's all I'm gonna say. But like, holy fucking shit. I don't know. I'm very passionate about Okami. And it's another game that, like, I mentioned it to Tom the other day when I was playing Breath of the Wild. I was like, I think this is my new Okami. And because Okami was a game that just grasped me so hard that no matter how hard I try, I can't let go. Mm-hmm. And clearly, I can't let go. I have a problem. And that's just the thing, is for me, Okami will never die. And the fact that I, among so many other fans, feel the same way, and there's still people that stand in the way of making that happen, it makes me angry. It makes me very angry. Because I know that there's potential for a good sequel. I know one wants to be made, and I know that fans want more of this story and more of this world and these characters, and it's been so long, and I feel like the whole dangling fish thing, like, they've released it on as many platforms as they possibly can for an HD remake, and, like, I feel like I'm getting hope where there is none, right? Like, when they started doing the HD remakes, I thought, oh, maybe they're testing the waters to see if there's still, a player base for this game, right? Because as to my understanding is when Okami was released, it wasn't as successful as maybe they had hoped. And so even though the creator wanted to make a sequel, Capcom denied it because they didn't make much money. So they said no. Okay, but that was how many fucking years ago? And clearly people still want to make it, and clearly people still want to see it. So what the fuck, guys?
Like, there was that tweet from...
Come on! I know, but that's just a tweet. It's just rumor. I've been hearing that for, 8 years, man. Like, forever. I've been hearing, oh, there's going to be a second one. Oh, there's going to be a second one. Oh, there's going to be... Am I going to have to wait another 8 years? Am I going to be a 90-year-old woman on my deathbed, and finally Okami 2 comes out on the fucking whatever it's going to be when I'm 90 years old? Like,
on the serum you inject into your brain.
Oh my god. Like, and the reason I get so upset about this game is because when I was around the age playing it, I feel this game really actually saved my life. It was a really shitty part of my life. I was going through a lot of stuff. My whole world changed within this period, and there was something about what Okami did, just the story and the characters and this new perspective, this new world, everything about it just took me out from reality in such an engaging way, and it's what I needed at that moment, and that's why I can't forget it, because it's what I needed when it showed up, and it gave me strength, it gave me creativity, it gave me imagination, it gave me so much that, like I said, I can't let it go. And I feel that if I had it again with a new experience, maybe some of that would come back to me, in some strange, weird way. But just with all that I see of games now, you see a lot of reoccurring themes, like Tom had mentioned with his 2, Game of the Year nominees, is that it's nothing new that we had seen. Okami, even when its time, was something so fresh and new. Gameplay, not necessarily. Gameplay, it's pretty much just a Zelda game. But it introduced me to so much because the game's main story is just Japanese lore, right? Yeah. Nothing was made up. This is actual beliefs and stories and lore from a world that, before I'd ever played Okami, was completely unknown to me. And because of this game, I have this new appreciation and this new love for a culture at the time I didn't even know existed. And to me, that's so rewarding and amazing that I got that from a video game. Right?
Yeah.
And I think that everybody needs to kind of experience that. And for those who haven't played Okami, God help your soul, you're dead inside.
You hear that, Rob?
Wow.
But everything And I want the world to see it again. I want Okami to enter this world one more time to teach us whatever lessons it has to teach. And whatever magic it beholds. Like, everything about it inspired so much in me that I can only imagine how much it inspired in others. And I've seen the influence that it inspired in others for those who know it, for those who have experienced it. And it's just beyond me to think that this game is not more praised for ultimately the masterpiece that it is. And the fact that because of sales, unfortunately, the developers or Capcom or whatever the fuck seems to think that this game isn't worth anything to anybody is bullshit. This game means everything to me. This game is my heart and soul. This game is what made me the person I am today. And I need it back. I really do. I've bled it dry. I've played that game so many times. I've played the HD remake. I've played it on 3 different platforms. I can't get enough. I need more. It's like a drug. I need my drugs!
Mr. Kamiya, we need your help. We need to get her off the Okami drug. Or get her more.
Yeah, quick, before someone leaves a horse head in your bed.
I'm just so passionate about it, just because, like, it really just is a marvel. And I wish more games were like it, And, like, as a young girl, I love animals and stuff like that, and that's all this game is. It's just fucking animals saving the motherfucking world.
Fucking animals.
What? Well, not quite that. But I mean, like I could be a wolf, I can be a god, and I could be a hero all at the same time, And what's greater than that? For me, being 15 or whatever, how old I was when I first played that game. Blockbuster still existed at that time, because I remember I rented it before I bought it. It's just I wish more games were like that. I wish we could see more unique themes. I wish we can see unique designs. Like, that game is a standalone based on its art design, which is incredible. And if they did make a sequel, I'd be very interested to see how they would either, change it or adapt to it, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't really know where I would stand on that if they did make a sequel, whether I want it to stay the same or whether I want it to evolve somewhat. Because I know that wasn't actually the original game design for Okami. As far as I'm concerned, the PlayStation 2 game engine couldn't run what they initially wanted to for the project, and so that's why they changed the art style to something that was simple but still visually appealing, so that the PS2 could actually keep up, rendering the game, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I want in this world. So
what you're hoping for 2020 is a release date on Breath of the Wild and an announcement of Okami 2.
Just something. Give me something.
What are you going to do if there's Okami
I'll help
Den
you
HD?
guys. If you need help, I'll help you.
What are you going to do if they announce Okami Den HD for the Switch?
Nothing against Okami Den. It was a nice fix when it came out, and I was happy to see it. But it was just, they used the same game and then gave it different stickers. That's all I can say. Like, it was this, same dungeon, same map. They had a few different dungeons, a few different characters, but other than that, like, it was pretty much just, it felt like a mini game. It felt like if you were in Okami and it gave you a mini game option. That's really what it felt like. It didn't take me long to finish it. It was a cute story. I don't think I consider it any of it canon to the actual story, because it's kind of confusing. So
it's one thing the Japanese are good at.
It doesn't make a lot of sense.
It's straightforwardness.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but yeah. I know I talk a lot about this game, and I know you guys are probably so sick of hearing me talk about it, but it's just, yeah, it just has such a special place in my heart that I just can't forget that I need it.
Well, Rob, what are you hoping What do you? I guess maybe a good way to look at this. What do you expect to see, and what would you like to see that doesn't been announced yet?
So yeah, stuff that I'm expecting to see is there were a few games from that last Indie World presentation Nintendo did that looked really interesting to me. Like Super Mash was one of them. Skatebird just looks absolutely delightful. Probably the like really big one I'm looking forward to next year that's actually like been announced this is coming in 2020 is the Red Lantern, which is part of the reason why I didn't play a lot of 2019 games this year. Like I was kind of just waiting for that, expecting like, no, I know this is going to be my game.
You were looking forward for that one too. That's the one with like the dog sled team.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I just didn't remember what it was actually called. But yeah, no, that looks really interesting.
Yeah.
I actually thought it was gonna come out this year.
Yeah, it was originally scheduled for like summer.
Oh.
And then I think it was like just sometime in... No, I think it was like late October, maybe early November. They announced like, sorry guys, we've run into some obstacles. It's coming in 2020.
Well, yeah, I prefer that when like developers do that. Instead of releasing a game that's either not good or unfinished, just take the extra time. Like, at the end of the day, it means more to the fans. You know, like, yes, we have to wait. Oh, darn, yeah, I gotta wait. But when we get a better product out of it, then we're like, we're glad we waited.
Yeah.
You know? You fix the things that you weren't happy with. Like, if you're not happy with it, don't release the game.
Yeah, like,
right?
I've got enough games to tide me over. I have tons of games.
We got our fill. There's so many.
If I need, like, some dog sledding action, I have a whole collection of Jack London stories at home I haven't even cracked open yet. Like, especially when it's a game that I'm looking forward to this much, I want it to be, like, as good as they can make it.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, no, I really like it when developers understand that, you know, like, they treat the games, you know, the way they should be treated, you know, like, as us, the gamers, the customers, we want to spend our money on something that's worthwhile, right? So if you don't think the game is up to par, why do you think that we're going to think that, right?
Yeah.
And why do you think that you can take our hard-earned money for something that's either unfinished or a piece of crap?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so, like, I find it very respectful for us as consumers when they say, you know what? We're not happy with this. We're going to keep it for a little bit while longer. Sorry, you're going to have to wait. Like, I find that very respectful to us as consumers.
Yeah. Yeah, sort of like a pipe dream pie in the sky thing. Because I keep hearing, like, oh, Nintendo's renewing the trademark. Please, make a new 1080 game, for God's sake. We didn't get Steep.
Yeah.
We need 1080 now.
That'd be nice, yeah.
Like that... Just remake Avalanche if you have to.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as it has, you know, snowboard racing and Finger 11 in there, I don't give a shit.
What I expect to hear more of? I don't know.
I know you're excited for Cyberpunk.
And Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Oh, yeah.
Are two games I want to see more of and learn more of.
Well, I mean, those are both coming out next year.
Yeah,
so
they have concrete release dates.
Wait.
And they're the same month.
Yeah.
Oh God, March is going to be expensive.
Save up your monies.
I think the new Animal Crossing and Final Fantasy VII Remake share the same release week.
Oh God.
Jesus. Wait, when's No More Heroes 3 supposed to come out?
Oh, yeah.
I know it's sometime next year.
Yeah.
I don't think they said it like a month, but they did say 2020.
Yeah.
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 We need to get back into No More Heroes 1.
Yeah. Yeah, because like that trailer they showed during the Game Awards looks really cool. I
want to know, I don't know what the premise of No More Heroes 2 is, but we played No More Heroes a little bit on the channel years ago, and that the premise is that you're becoming the world's greatest assassin.
Mm-hmm.
So in No More Heroes 2, I'm assuming he's becoming the world's greatest something else. But then in No More Heroes 3, it's like the galaxy's greatest superheroes, and you're taking on all these aliens.
Yeah.
And that's such a cool
such a weird jump, yeah.
So I don't know, maybe No More Heroes 2 is literally you're becoming like the Earth's greatest hero.
Maybe.
And now in 3, all these aliens come to be like, hey, fucker, we're better than you. And you're like, nope. No More Heroes 3 isn't, that's another one I want to hear more about.
Mm-hmm.
I guess maybe it's two games I want to mention. if it actually exists, I want to see Metroid Prime Trilogy HD next year.
Yeah.
Or some gameplay of Metroid Prime 4. I think it's been long enough since its rebooted announcement that there is some form of definitive gameplay they can show now.
You'd hope so by this point.
Yeah. Also, I mentioned it too when I was bitching about Breath of the Wild and Okami, is that I want to see more of the new Elder Scrolls.
Yeah.
I think they said 2025 or something was like the earliest.
But like,
Jesus
I'd like to
Christ.
see
Why
something
even
else,
announce it?
Because
like,
people wouldn't stop asking them.
we've had Skyrim for so long that I want to see more Elder Scrolls. Like, I played Tamriel online, and that's a lot of fun. But like I said, I'm such a solo snob. I don't like to play with other people. And that game has a lot of like solo potential, but for some reason it doesn't feel quite right. You know? And
it's an MMO that lets you play single player, but it's still an MMO.
Yeah. But like, I want to just hear something. You know, like they gave us the announcement, just to shut the fuck up, because yes, we were being noisy about it. I agree.
Because that was E3 2018.
Yeah, that was
and they said like, we're not even saying a release date, but it won't be before 2025.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like they said something
really?
like that.
Oh yeah.
Because they said they've got like 3 unannounced games in development that are planning to be like 2020,
But everyone's
2022.
like, Elder Scrolls. I also want to see something else from Dragon Age.
Dragon Age 4 or whatever they decide to call it. A lot of game companies are going the route of like, it is the 4th one, but we're just going to call it Dragon Age, and it's fucking shit up.
God, I hate that.
Yeah.
That's going to make or break BioWare, I think, for
Oh,
EA.
really? Why?
Andromeda and then Anthem.
True.
I
I loved Inquisition so much that it's like, I need more. And that's like, those are the kind of games I love to play.
mean, it's possible the backlash EA has gotten that resulted in them letting Respawn just make a game for Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah.
Potentially, they're going to go, all right, BioWare, we won't touch you. Make something that makes us money.
Yeah.
Like, we might
That's
see
not
a
hot
change.
steaming pile of garbage selling for $14.99 at EB Games. Anthem!
Oh, it's lower than that.
I saw it the other day. It's $14.99 at EB Games.
Mass
right
Effect
now.
Andromeda on Amazon. You can get brand new sealed day 1 launch edition for $1.50.
Jesus.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Sorry you had to be part of such a steaming pile of hot
Yeah, I'm in that game. I don't have any shame in saying I was in it, but
Well,
you had nothing-
You had nothing to do with the crap.
I'm in the game, and it's, for better or for worse, a part of one of my favorite franchises, and I still can't be bothered to play far enough in to find myself. So there it is.
Kind of sad.
Anyway, my sort of, why did you word that? Pie in the sky?
Yeah.
Pie in the
My
sky.
wild
It's a
card.
saying.
What does it mean?
I don't know, it's like, wild dreams or whatever.
But why a pie?
I don't know, because,
It's like when pigs fly.
yeah. It's
something
just
that-
like a thing people say because it doesn't actually happen.
So anyway,
Well, you could have just come back down on you. The pie.
look, there is a pie in the sky.
But basically, what you're saying to me is they are making 1080, and I'm going to get a free copy. Thank you.
So my wild card thing that I would like to see an announcement of, Holly will be excited to hear this if you haven't already. Capcom had said that due to the incredible, like, positive reception and success their remakes have had, they plan on making more. And then lo and behold, right before the Game Awards, we got Resident Evil 3 remake announced for, I think it's like February or something. Like, it's like not far off.
Wow.
So they did say because of the success they've had, they're looking at dormant franchises to bring them back. I think the way the internet is now obsessed with survival horror again, things like Jurassic World are popular. I really think there
Dino Crisis?
I think there might be a Dino Crisis remake.
Oh, that'd
That's
be
my
cool.
like weird it probably doesn't exist, but I feel like, you know what? I bet you it's been talked about in a boardroom somewhere.
Yeah.
And maybe it's something they could do now.
That'd be an interesting one. That'd be cool.
I still desperately want to play that original. Rob and I were talking about it today in an episode of something we recorded. And I think that won't air till after this is aired. So, but anyway, we were talking about it today, and I still desperately want to play that game on my Dreamcast, but I have this gut feeling, I can't explain, that I wouldn't be surprised if at E3 2020 they announced in 2021 Dino Crisis.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because a lot of like Resident Evil's remake formula that they've had for 1, 2, and 3, they're based upon the formula that 4 set. So I'd almost be surprised if they remake 4. Because if they remake 4 with the gameplay they've revised now, it's essentially just an upscaled 4. So I feel like the remakes might take a break at 4. I think after 3 remake comes out, I think we're just going to see Resident Evil 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if their next survival horror remake in this Resident Evil style is actually a remake of Dino Crisis. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't have my hopes up for it, but it'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with
nice
like
surprise.
modern day graphics and like the resources that we have to like look into, I guess, dinosaurs as we currently understand them, the species they could include now that we know more. That there was a very limited amount of species in the original game because of the limitations of the hardware at the time.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just on the Dreamcast, it was also a PS1 game. So I feel like it doesn't just have to be raptors and T-Rexes like the original was, or I think some dinosaurs they made up for the sake of it.
Probably.
But it doesn't have to be that way now, and I'd like to see what they do.
Yeah.
So that's sort of my wild card thing right there, is I'd like to see a Dino Crisis remake.
Another one that just came to mind, because I know there has been work done on it, and this is kind of going back to games that I'm sure people are sick of hearing us talk about. I want the Floor Kids DLC. I know Kid Koala's done some music for it.
Has he announced like there is one coming for sure?
I know they said in an interview that they want to do some, and he has said on Twitter, like, hey, I've been working on some new music for Floor Kids. Some of it with Del, the funky Homo sapien, which I'm very excited about. I think part of the problem is he's just got so much going on. He's got like a new like puppet show play he's going to start touring.
What?
Huh.
Yeah.
Huh. That's weird.
So yeah, please give that to us.
Someone pointed out in the comment section of our Floor Kids playthrough that in order to get the ending, you have to get 5 stars on those 3.
Oh, at the Peace Summit?
Yeah. So there is an ending we haven't seen.
Okay.
So maybe episode 4 will happen someday if Rob can get 5 stars on all 3 of those. Because clearly I can't.
I mean, I couldn't at first.
Have you done it now?
No. Not on those stages, but I mean, like, I've gotten 5 stars on some of the stages, yeah.
Okay. Well, I think about that just wraps it up. I don't know if there's anything else you want to talk about. I want to see more now that the Xbox Series X has been shown. I'd like to see Sony finally show what the PlayStation 5 looks like. Yeah. And I bet you we're not far off from that.
No, probably not.
Definitely not.
Even if it's at E3, it won't be past E3.
Yeah. They probably will be doing it at E3. I guarantee that. Because if Xbox is releasing the Series X in holiday 2020, then like
Sony,
the other guys have to have something.
Before Sony even told us the official name, which shocker, it was PlayStation 5. But the internet was already calling it before they revealed it.
Oh my god!
But before they even officially announced that is what it's going to be called, they said holiday 2020.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, they're going to compete with Xbox, obviously. So yeah.
I'd be interested to see how this console generation works out.
Yeah, 'cause I just kind of feel like Sony, especially since Xbox has said virtual reality is not a priority for them, I feel like Sony might really lean into VR.
Yeah.
Just to sort of set themselves apart and be like, look, this is the one where you can play all your favorite VR games.
I think this console generation has been too skewed. Because you look at the 16-bit era, the reason why we had so many incredible games is because internationally, the gaming demographic was like split 50-50 between Sega and Nintendo. And then, you know, you look at the 7th generation of consoles. If you exclude the Wii, because the Wii was kind of an anomaly and a phenomenon.
Yeah.
The 360 and PS3 also were almost neck and neck. And look at how many amazing games on both platforms we got. Look at this generation, where for every great exclusive first-party game Xbox pushed out, Sony has like 10.
Yeah.
And part of that is priority because of lack of sales in the console, yada, 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 yada. I'm hoping this generation is a lot more neck and neck. Because everybody benefits.
Yeah.
If Sony only sells 30 million because Microsoft sells 40 million, that forces Sony to pump out some great titles to bolster sales.
Yeah.
And that forces Microsoft to do the same to not lose their audience, and it's just a better time to be a gamer. And Phil Spencer himself actually said it months ago. He said he's happy Sony's done so well. He's got his hopes for the future for Xbox, and he loves how that Nintendo's back in the game too. Because he said, for gamers, it's best when everybody is on their A game.
Yeah.
When one guy's in the lead, the other two guys are trailing behind, you don't have the great overall success that the industry can have when everybody's fucking gunning it and going for each other. And and I like this sort of healthier ecosystem we've got now, where it doesn't matter what platform you're playing on. If your buddy has the Switch version and you've got the Xbox version and another buddy has the PC version, you can all play together.
Yeah.
Why has that taken so long to happen? I'm glad it's not now. Well, for the most part anyway. But I have my hopes up for next gen. I can't wait to see where it's going to go and what's going to happen. I like new console generations. Yeah, this has been our longest podcast ever, and I don't know how to end it other than
I'm tired.
Happy New Year, everybody. These have been our Game of the Year, and our hopes and dreams for 2020. Happy New Year, and I hope it's a great 2020, a great new year in gaming.
Yep. Let's hope for the best instead of the worst.
Okami 2 or we riot.
I will riot. There will be burning. There will be bodies.
Well, have a good New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.